Oh yeah, but what
Okay, guys, we're live.
Okay, well, so we're midway in a conversation here, but it would just be really cool if when such events do take place, so it's like, hey, some players managed to go and get the sandworm. Yeah, again, this is assuming the sandworm ever does exist for those of us joining
Sandworms
us
and
here,
space whales.
because there was one in the video way back when. But
Lear 3, I think it
it's
was.
on the list, but way down the list. But we all know players are going to try to like pick these things up and transport them to other places because fuck it, why not? But it'd be cool if when that does happen, when CIG is like, hey, yeah, some players managed to get a fucking worm in the middle of a caterpillar in an Idris or something, if that then got added as a low probability wreck you could find, where you would find you could find as you're exploring, like, hey, I found a wrecked Idris. You open it up and there's a fucking sandworm in the middle of it. You're just like, what the fuck? Like, just
Well,
kind of adding that to those random encounters.
not only that, go ahead and make counter missions. Like,
Yeah.
the Greenpeace faction has found out that players have captured a space whale, and now they're going to go and piracy, like
Space
trying to
PETA.
break the whale free.
So
I was
Space
thinking
PETA,
more,
pretty much.
more from like hey, a bunch of idiots did this thing and they all died because they're a bunch of idiots. But you you can find it as a wreck and be like, whoa, what the hell?
I'm on board
there'd
with
be some,
that.
like,
Yeah,
data
absolutely.
entries. But no, that would
I'm
be interesting too to make missions around that too.
Yeah, just like counter it, because there's always going to be some people like, don't mess with the wildlife, man. What did it do to you?
It existed.
You can't own property, man.
'Cause, I mean,
Yes, I can, but
one of
that's
the
because I'm
things they
not a
said a long
penniless
time-
hippie.
One of the things they said a long time ago was that they wanted to make like exotic wildlife,
Yeah.
like you could hunt
Commodity.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, hunting is
go
totally
hunt
going to be
it
a thing.
for
They've said that
specific
multiple
body
times.
parts.
Hunting will
Well, I
be a
mean,
thing.
they had talked about, like, we were talking about that they're going to be showing off some new armor design here, or like outfit design on Friday. That when they did that last time, they were like, yeah, we're going to go and have this armor, and it's based off of parts of the creatures on New Babbage, and it's like you're going to be able to hunt those, take them to like some kind of crafts person, and they'll be able to fashion these kind of outfits out of those parts that you harvested from the creatures you killed, potentially.
I'm okay with
so
that.
Silent, I
I probably
can
won't
take
be
over.
doing it, but I like the gameplay that it brings.
Well, I mean, it'd be some pretty, decently, somewhat low risk cash. If you're like, hey, let me go and hunt these fucking bats in a cave, and I've collected 100 bat wings. Let me go and sell that. Well, hey, you've made some decent money, and all it took was a little bit of time, and you didn't have to use any ships. You took a rover out to the cave or something.
Yep. That I could see that being good low level entry money making missions.
Or even, hey, I took an Ursa rover out. I drove around for 2 hours, picking up every single plant life I could find, sold it, and I made 5K. There you go. There's some nice, relatively low risk mission there. Assuming the planet's not a super PvP zone or something like that, you're probably gonna be safe.
Yeah.
Or even if it is, planets are huge. You can just go to one remote location now.
Yeah. And if you're using something, let's say if you have your buddy, you're like, hey, drop me off in a Ranger, which has a super low signature. Come pick me up in 2 or 3 hours. Sweeps in. You drive in. You had all your plants and little panniers on the cargo Ranger. He came up in his Avenger Titan, picks you up, off you go.
Yeah. What's the Ford pickup? What ship?
The Nomad.
Nomad. There you go.
I do like that they do embrace some designs that are like completely away from the norm of what they don't typecast themselves. They'll sometimes typecast within like one manufacturer, but as an overall, I'm glad they aren't just sticking to certain things or thinking outside the box.
Well, that's actually what I was going to talk about later on, which is the comment that I made before we started, which is about this Friday show, which is the whole Jeremiah Lee keeps reappearing. And I know I said this several episodes ago. I'm gonna say like 4 or 5, but I have nothing against Jeremiah Lee, but
Except everything.
I would like to see some more variety of art designers. In other words, like to kind of get into what you were just talking about, which is I'd like to see those different ideas popping up in the armor sets. And
No,
I
absolutely.
know Jeremiah, he does good work. I'm not saying he doesn't. It's just, you know,
We
you
still want
have
to see more. We want to see more varied design.
I think he's
Yeah.
capable of doing that the variations of designs too. I want to see.
Yeah, but
I think
people
there's a
can
subconscious
typecast. They'll subconsciously typecast to a degree.
yeah. And so if you have different art designers, then you're gonna get, you know, more of that variety of flavor is all I'm getting at.
No,
I
absolutely.
like, he's a good artist. I'm not against that in any way. You know, he needs to keep doing what he's doing. He's doing good stuff.
You're saying
I
you
would
just you
just
want
like
someone
to
doing
see-
like maybe something more feudal Japanese or maybe more
No,
like
but,
medieval.
what I'm
might,
getting
like,
at is, like, think about it this way. Like,
I'm saying like in terms of like what the current armor inspirations are more modern day sci-fi and old school like 70s sci-fi, but they're not taking like you have some like the paladin helmet, but you don't have a lot of old
Well, I mean,
historical
I would say, for
historically
example,
inspired armors.
the way that we were seeing most armors up until probably about mid 3 point, the mid 3 point patches here were very, 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 very similar. Even though, okay, you've got some different greebling here, you've got some different shapes there, but it was all following the same design language. The same underlying structure was the same, and we've only recently really started getting away from that. Correct.
yeah, I think what I'm getting at is kind of like, um, you know, the society that the art director or that the art person grows up in kind of determines to some degree. It's becoming less and less with World Wide Web, you know, development and being
Yeah.
able to like look more places, but still the society that art person grows up in somewhat determines kind of their concept of ideas about
I mean,
the
how they grow
subject that
up,
they're
what kind of media they see, and
exactly.
they'll unconsciously, because it's like we can only. There was something said about like artists way back when. You can only understand, or you can only see what you understand, and you can only understand what you see. In that,
Yep.
if you have, it's like we see concepts out there. We see concepts of aliens and all that kind of stuff. It's like, but it's all just variations of stuff we already know. Because if it was truly alien, truly not seen before, we wouldn't understand it. We'd sit there and just go, huh?
Yeah.
We could not comprehend it because we'd have no frame of reference.
So that's where I think it'd be cool to see a different art designer working in the same capacity as Jeremiah Lee, but maybe he's from like, he's one of the French guys working over in the German studio, or one of the Germans, or just another person's concepts
Yeah,
to kind of
we just
bounce
get
off of.
a totally different
Yeah,
starting point from
exactly.
what. Even if even if you take the same, okay, hey, here's Google, I'm going to go and search up blah blah blah, whatever the reference point might be for that armor. Maybe that's already set, but you're still going to have, okay, hey, here's my take on this and my take on that versus someone else's take on this and someone else's take. You're still going to translate that differently.
Yeah, you could bring up 100 pictures on Google of a body armor, and then you put a different artist in front of the same picture and say, tell me which one grabs you, and you're going to get a different answer with each artist that looks at it, especially if they're from different backgrounds, different cultures.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at. Is it'd be nice to see a different art director or developer, on that show. Just because we've seen Jeremiah Lee like what 6-7 times now doing different types of art design. I don't know the exact numbers, but I
I
know
like how
he's fairly regular.
of all the things to talk about, we're complaining about armor.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I'd like to, and that was that's what I was saying. Like, I like what Jeremiah does. I just would like to see different strains of ideas, not just his ideas. That's all I'm getting at. It's not a complaint.
A recommendation, if you will.
There you go. A request, not even a recommendation, a request. Respectfully request.
Which makes sense, right?
So pretty much what I said earlier, but then you continued on. I was saying like just an additional artist that's doing something different.
Well, the way you worded it made it sound like I was saying I want different types of armor, and that's not.
Yeah, so I think the main difference between the way you said it, Mando, and the way he said it is it sounded like you were talking about stuff in game. He's talking about like content given to the people, like outside of game, like a video. If I'm gonna make a video explaining the concept behind my art and stuff, he's saying rather than have one person who's always explaining the concept, have multiple different people on to do it, right? That way you're getting a fresh perspective each time, and you're not just listening to the same person explain stuff over and over again. Yeah.
Like
if
we
he's
know
talking
that
more so like out of like in a video, if you're gonna watch a video like
like we know when Jeremiah is gonna be on, that he's gonna have funny pictures of Disco Lando in the background. Like that's his thing. You know, he does it every single episode that he's on. Just some variety, man. That's all.
No, I agree with you on that.
I hear that.
I thought you were talking about like the armor stuff because in-game armor, like I agree we do need some variation in the design of the armor. So that was totally my fault. I thought you were talking about armor design specifically. But because
I would agree with you, Mando, that they should try to pull more thematically from different stuff for in-game armors and stuff, because it seems to be
we do have some like some of the outlaw armors.
Majority sci-fi.
Yeah, some of the outlaw armors like Dust Up and Calico do resemble more modern day military vests and such compared to some of the other armors. But again, it's like 2 armors out of how many sets?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again, like you have 1 helmet out of so it would be nice to see some kind of variations. Like the gray cat is the arms are in pretty much the arms and helmet. Yeah, they're different than everything else we've seen, but it's still it fits the same type of inspiration, like taking it from the same origin.
Yeah,
they're just not.
Yeah, like I said, they're kind of thematically the same.
I agree. We should see other devs on. And obviously, I can understand they're not going to get every dev on because they're actually working on shit and they have to actually schedule their appearances on these shows.
So what are you trying to say? Jeremiah is not busy?
No, I'm not saying he's not busy. I'm just saying that they got him scheduled for that episode.
Yeah, I think that's also something that a lot of people forget about is that, it's a overlooked but critical thing, which is, a lot of these developers, no matter what their ranking in the company is, they signed up to be devs. They didn't sign up to do talk shows and be visible to the world. And for some people, that's just very
and that's probably why. That's probably another reason why we're not seeing them.
I respect that, absolutely. So
don't stop complaining about it, okay?
I don't think that's my ideal. Then yeah, okay, got it. And obviously Jeremiah is a very outgoing, like, yeah, let's do it. Let's joke around on TV, kind of an approach, and it works for him. So that's probably why we see him so often.
Yeah, no, that honestly, that is a very good point. In that, and we are seeing with some of the videos that TIG is going and putting more people kind of in the limelight, but a lot of times in most companies, being a dev or most of these kinds of positions, except for pretty much marketing, you're not going to be in any way, shape, or form public facing.
Yeah. And
So
you can
that and
see that
that's
with
that's when you change.
some of the devs they get on, where you can see they're new to it, and they're kind of they
It's
maybe
unfamiliar
just a
territory
little
for 'em.
uncomfortable. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
No, absolutely.
You
And
know,
that's
you know who's a
understandable.
guy who I'd like to see
Yep.
talk about armor and weapons again? Richard Schreier.
Yes.
That dude really, I like when he talks, like when he's on camera talking about the weapons and armor, because that dude also, like, again, it's kind of like we've seen him not as many times as Jeremiah, but he
I'm not putting a
that was
face
the
to
guy
the
with
name.
the shorter hair, right?
much shorter hair, yeah.
Yeah. I want.
He did the I think the armor archetypes panel at CitizenCon 2019.
Okay, yeah. I would say when he's on screen, he's like one tier below Tony Z in terms of the information he'll give up.
Not just the information, but like he lights up about it too, and it's like you kind of get excited just from his energy kind of
honestly,
emanating.
You can tell this is and again, this is at least just my take on it. But from my perspective, it seems like he loves what he's doing.
Yep,
He loves
exactly.
talking about what he's doing, and it's like that's great to see.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like his energy when he talks about it just emanates off the screen into you, and it's like wow.
And realistically too, you can. And this is again just my opinion, but in my opinion, you can tell when you look at content, you can sometimes get a sense of who created it. What were they doing? What were their feelings about this when they made this? And you can tell if they were like, oh man, I wanted this thing to be great. We wanted to go and do all this cool stuff, and we can't wait for you guys to see it, versus it's Monday. I gotta finish this thing up. Let me just wrap this up, get this off of my workload. Okay, it's done. Get out of here. Like in my opinion, with some things, not all things, but with some things, you can tell the difference.
Oh, absolutely. No, I agree with that, and we even
I
saw
just
that. We
looked
saw
at
that a bit with
s-
when Inside Star Citizen this past week. We saw that with the guy. I'm just gonna speed up a little bit. So he's talking about how he was working on the Gladius, and how he's kind of like afraid, like to, like it was weird because like, yeah, I didn't want to mess up what they're doing with Squadron, but at the same time he's also like, but I had a lot of fun doing this part and that part, and like I added lights without having to change the design of the ship at all. Like when I was like really, he showed off all the components and everything. They talked about the cleaning up the HUD and the cockpit overall of the why am I clicking on the term? The Saber, the Aegis Saber, stealth fighter, and the Retaliator. So it was just a really nice. Yeah, it's just always nice to see when like people are actually passionate about what they do. And Lady Mist is in the chat saying, "Hello, everyone. Hello, Lady Mist." By the way, that was really cool when he was talking about the component storage and the Gladius, and how they showed it off, and it's like the shields popping up, little animations. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little giddy.
I have a Gladius. It looks wonderful when you're just opening up these things, and honestly, I can't wait to the point where it's like, oh shit, I was just in a firefight and I got kind of dinged. I gotta go and EVA out and actually fix some of this shit up to make myself flyable again.
Like when that, the components lower to the floor, when he showed off even just the headlights, like, oh, where would the headlights be? Oh, they're right there, out of view. Just you don't even see them when they're off at all. They're just completely invisible until they turn on.
Honestly, it's like the fact that they're going, hey, we have headlights for every single ship, but hey, on this ship, there was no physical, place that these headlights were coming from. Let's go and change that. Like, just the fact that they're, because you have so many games, they'd be like, oh, we don't care. The light's just, it's coming from wherever the fuck, don't care, move on. But the fact that they'll go to this level of detail for everything, whether it's small scale, large scale, across the board, is one of the things that has drawn me to and kept me engaged with Star Citizen.
It's also like because
so other developers will do it.
Yeah, also because in the future they plan on having like shield emitters, right? They worked on shield emitters, so this way you have physical emitters that are for generating your shields for your ship, so that in the future you can then destroy those emitters and then your ship will have no shields.
Yeah. So if someone were to sneak up on you,
so you can do the same thing theoretically with the headlights.
Hey, your shields just went down. So cool stuff.
So starting
I
back
would
here,
like to see them improve the headlights in intensity, though, because
Oh,
I find a
absolutely.
lot of the ships, the light
Oh,
is
yeah.
basically pointless. It reaches about 20 feet out and then it dies.
yeah, and weather doesn't make it any better. But,
Yeah.
but getting back on topic, they showed off hospitals this episode, and
We have a
pretty
topic?
much, yes.
Nah.
So they showed off hospitals, and pretty much every version of the hospitals are going to be coming out in 3.15, and how they're going to be.
Wasn't there like one or two places that isn't? I thought.
I said they showed off all the locations that will be. I thought no,
Oh, gotcha.
that will be in 3.15. Because
So
I don't think they showed off the because Area 18 and Lorville's hospital aren't going to be in 3.15,
Okay, yeah.
right? Unless they
Correct.
moved. I know they moved it up, but I think they added the 3.16.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
With the way that I understand that what we currently have in game isn't what we're going to have, as far as med pens and how fast you take damage and how quickly you need to heal. How have they described or talked about or hinted at what they're like? I guess what I'm trying to get at is what is the time? What's the time to kill going to be? Because the way they're talking about in this episode, the way they're talking about it is like, oh, if your friend's injured, you'll be able to bring him here, take him off the ship, put him on this trolley, wheel him through town, from the landing zone, and get you, to the elevator, and then he gets taken up and seen by the doctors. And to me, I'm like, okay, I know what we have. Yeah, what we have now. You last 30 seconds.
You're dead.
And you're dead.
What they talked about with it is that, and again, this is the way they talked about it last. We'll see if there's changes to that or whatever. But the way they talked about it was that so time to kill won't really change. What is going to change is, let's say, for example, if I'm going and I'm doing a bunker clearing mission, and I fuck up, I got some rubber banding, whatever. I go down, I get myself mowed down.
You're in a down state, pretty much, instead of dead.
Dying, I am going to instead be in essentially a coma or whatever they want to call it. So essentially, I am severely hurt to the point where I am no longer ambulatory, but I am not dead yet. At that point, I presume there will be some kind of a way for you to then call for assistance to let either a random player know or your friends know, hey, I'm down, I need help. At that point, then your friends can come along. So let's assume I'm in a party. Let's assume I was clearing the mission with a couple other people. I got mowed down. You guys could then come up on me, clear out all the hostiles, and if you have the proper medical tools, you might be able to revive me right there. If not, you would then be able to just be like, all right, come on, Cam. You drag me by my armor into the ship while I'm in this comatose state. And you can also, to our note, they did say you can choose when you go down if you're like, I'm not going to bother waiting. I don't care, whatever. You can choose at any time to just respawn just at the push of a button. But if you so choose, you're like, nope, I want to hang on. I got friends coming in. I want to wait for help. Then, like I said, they can drag you onto the ship, drag you to the hospital, and you get care.
Okay. Gotcha.
So essentially, just death is now replaced with coma, and from there you can.
So pretty much, yeah, you're going to be in a down state where then you can be rescued, or you can just choose to force respawn.
See, which will then cost you. What I would like them to do is I would like them to put in, if they are going to do that where they have it in a down state, I'd like them to put in a time where you have to stabilize that person if their injury is too grave. So then it does feel like oh.
So that's planned for the future.
There's some importance to it, right?
I think they said in a previous.
I think that'll be the tiers of the beds in the different.
Yeah. So they said in the previous update that would be like that. That's later down the line. At the moment, it's gonna just be you're in a down state. And they did say like med pens. The purpose of med pens in the future will just be to stabilize you, or to at least cure like smaller like lacerations and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like
because
it's good for no problem, but for more intense injuries, it's kind of be like a stabilizing agent, and then you can wheel off the patient somewhere.
I think what I'd like to see is the different tier beds have a not necessarily a neutralizing effect, but like a percentage decrease in
debuff.
maybe that
A
timer.
debuff on
Not
on those
debuff.
negative effects of how long you have until it's like, hey, you're bleeding out. You need to have a tier 1, tier 3 med bed to save you here. Or no, tier 1, a tier 1 med bed to save you. You have to have the best one out there. But if you have a Cutlass Red there and you throw him on there, okay, he's gone from 30 minutes now that he'll survive to 2 hours. Because it's sustaining him. It's not enough to save him, but it's enough to keep you alive a little longer.
Yeah, and maybe if
like
you're
I said,
bleeding out,
stabilize
it
them.
slows that bleed out, but it's still, the timer's still ticking. I think that would work, because that also, I think, would play well into, potential. Oh, and by the way, Cam, this will be I know this will be a triggering subject. We'll be going down this hole, but I thought of another ship that they might be introducing that's already in existence. Your Terrapin Medical.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, and it's like the Cutlass Red is kind of meant to fit in there, but a Terrapin with a single tier 3 low.
All 3 of us have been saying, well, 4 of us too.
Would be a great one-person search and rescue ambulance.
Absolutely.
It's essentially it's a one-man ambulance.
Its would be a lot smaller too. So.
Yep.
It would be closer to a modern-day ambulance than the Cutlass Red.
It's not well armed, but it can hover and VTOL very, very well. It's got the armor. It's supposed to be able to go into harsh environments. Like it meets all the checkbox of what you'd want, for a quick ambulance ride.
Yes.
You say not well armed, but as far as I'm aware at the moment, I think it has 2 size 2s and 1 size 3. So
yeah, but it's
the size 3
isn't
a weapon. The size 3 is not a weapon slot. It's a utility slot, and I believe it's only 2 size 1s, if I remember correctly.
I think it did get a buff in its weapons in the last patch or 2.
Did it? Okay.
I think so.
That would be something new for me, but at this,
but either way, it would still be a great little ambulance kind of thing.
And well, the other thing is that its turn and roll radius is so slow that even having those weapons, you're never going to win.
It's not a fighter. You aren't going to be dogfighting with it. If you need to punch through, it's like you got some guys physically sitting in front of where you need to go. Sure, punch through them with your weapons and make them dodge a bit. But otherwise, you're just going. You aren't fighting.
Yeah. Yep.
Its lack of maneuverability is why it has the armor to compensate.
I'm not going to lie. If they did make a Terrapin with a medical bed, I would be very tempted to buy one with your own money.
Oh, I would trade in my current Terrapin for that upgrade.
I would work towards getting one in game. But back to the hospitals.
Let me finish off that. I see what they've done with the Terrapin, and what John Cruise seems to want it to become, and it's not the ship that I bought. And so for me, I would actually go for that medical one, because that would actually be gameplay that I could use, whereas what they've designed it to become is not what I'd be wanting to do.
With the scanner, it seems like it's purely a support role, in that you can't really be out there scanning for stuff and have a full gameplay loop with it. You have to be supporting someone else in that gameplay loop.
Yeah, and
that's something I don't really like about it.
They took away its long range, so you're not even going out and doing like far reaching. You're working with a battle group and basically scanning the immediate area.
But that could change in the future. But as it is right now, I agree.
Well, I mean, it was sold to be long endurance.
Yeah,
and they've knocked it down to not be. So I don't think it's gonna go back. Unfortunately. Anyways, but yeah.
The original description of it literally read, they changed it, but it literally read like mobile command center for like the long range military ops. Yeah.
It was meant to be like an AWACS kind of thing.
Essentially, it was almost like a mobile outpost.
Oh wow, yeah, it did get an upgrade. They're size 3s.
Are they gimbaled by default?
I was about to say they're probably gimbaled, which is why.
So they are size 2, but the nose turret is size 3.
Right, I said 2 size 2s
That's
and a
pretty
size
decent.
3.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah. I'm agreeing with you, Mando.
I will say though, the price on the Terrapin has always seemed to be to far outweigh
Yeah.
the ship itself. Maybe that'll change in the future as they change it, but we'll see.
Yep.
So back to
Okay.
the hospitals.
Terrapin's good.
So 315, for anyone who doesn't know, Alpha 315, which is scheduled to release in Q3 of this year. So anywhere between
October, November.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's going to bring hospitals and healing gameplay to Star Citizen, and that means players will wake up in hospitals if they die in the game. For now.
So GTA.
Yeah. Hospitals will also.
One thing,
have they said if that's going to default to the nearest one or back to your original one?
So they did talk about the insurance area so that you can actually set where you're going to spawn.
Okay.
Okay, so if it's like a farther distance away, then you'd obviously have to pay a bit more.
I guess.
Because like obviously be more fuel and well, I mean if we're talking not just game mechanics, right? Like lower.
Yeah,
wise.
like you go down
Logistics.
in Pyro and you don't want to respawn there. You definitely want to respawn back at New Babbage or something. And I can see that costing you some money.
Yeah, exactly.
So hospitals will include a drop-off point for bringing your injured friend. Carlton, you talked about that already. Clinics are smaller versions of hospitals, so they're essentially they serve the same purpose, but they're not going to have the same amenities.
Well, Astropub did a really good breakdown of this. I want to say like Thursday or Friday, but one of the things he pointed out is in their verbiage on the roadmap, you'll notice that Green Hex actually doesn't say revive, and he was pointing out that that's a critical thing. Like,
well, isn't that a clinic, not a hospital?
Yes. But I'm just trying to point out like what the difference between clinic and hospital, because I think a lot of players might right off the bat they're not going to differentiate that and go to Grim Hex thinking, oh yeah, my buddy's down, I can get him revived here, and they're going to show up and be like, WTF?
What do you want us to do?
Yeah, we can give you some cocaine.
Space cocaine. Cocaine.
Well, somebody pointed that out that apparently the in the footage that they show for the Grim Hex, it's all just a bunch of drug bricks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's literally in the footage, right? I'm trying to find it here in the Inside Star Citizen footage that I have scrolling in the background.
But
somewhere here, I
like
believe
that they're doing that. Like they're breaking down. Like different places have different capabilities.
So this is Grim Hex on screen right now. For those watching, and I'm trying to see where they show off the actual. So here's the bed in Grim Hex. It looks like I'm gonna say Ripper Duck from Cyberpunk. Like not great, not where you'd want to be operated in real life. And here are the drugs. Here are literally all the drugs right here.
From what I was seeing and what I'm hearing with this, it seems like if it's on one of the major landing zone cities, it's going to be a full hospital.
Right, yeah. Like what's face in New Babbage, they opened up with New Babbage's hospital. Yeah. They showed off Orson's hospital.
Hospitals, but at least at this point, first iteration.
It makes sense though. I mean that's kind of how the real world is. Like, if you live in Hawaii and you live on the Big Island and you have a very serious problem, they're going to fly you over to the other island, to Oahu, which has the major medical facility that can handle all the major stuff. But there's transportation involved in that.
Yep. So that's the difference between clinics and hospitals. They also talked about how designed to be clean and efficient, except for perhaps the one like Grim Hex. Literally, it's part of the notes they attached. And usually includes exposed landing pads in close proximity. Usually going to be. It's probably going to be on the roof, but it's not. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be. But
Yeah.
most buildings have landing pads on their roofs, kind of like how modern day
I would
buildings
love
have
to
helicopter
see,
pads.
I would
So
love to see them later on, once things have expanded a bit more. So not on the first one here, but I would love to see not only a roof landing pad. So it's like, hey, I've got my buddy in the back of my Pisces, drop down, get him out of there, get him into the hospital. But also, I would love to see a ground entrance for like rovers and other ground vehicles.
Yeah.
yep,
And
they probably will.
here's a question I have. Are they going to have some kind of a parking system attached to that? Or, because I could see, hospital traffic. If you offload, you land on the pad, you offload your buddy, and you're in the progress of taking him down to get him in the front door or whatever. What happens when another player is doing the
Yeah.
same thing and he shows up and your Cutlass is sitting there on the pad? Like, how is he
Yeah.
going to get his guy in? So I'm thinking they're going to have some kind of a parking system.
Or they're just gonna have multiple pads. Yeah, they're definitely gonna have a system. I imagine.
Yeah.
I
There's
do
no way they
remember
can't. There's no way
hearing-
they can't.
I do remember them saying something along the lines that there would be some kind of a system that if you were loitering on the pads, whatever they define as that they would have the same kind of thing as they currently have if you loiter on regular pads, and that it'll impound the ship.
Okay.
Now, what the conditions are going to be on that, we don't specifically know,
Yeah.
but did it say it would be something like that? At least first iteration. Down the line, they could probably make some more advanced logic where it's like, hey, if there's 6 pads, if you're taking up, the like fighter size pads, if you're taking up 2 or 3 of those, your timer is a lot shorter based on how many pads you're taking up. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll
So-
have to have multiple pads because you also, if you have a parking system that stores ships, that means when the player's done dropping his buddy off and he goes to spawn a ship, you don't want that ship spawning just as another player's trying to land on that same pad. So
Yep.
they're going to have multiple.
Maybe they'll have like a real world hospital. They'll have loading and unloading type
yeah.
situation.
Point.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like you have an entrance for where you drop off patients and stuff, and then you have an exit for where
Yeah.
patients leave. Real hospitals do that, so Columbia does that. But yeah, so then they also on the ISC they talked about their gold standard for ship development. That's where we were talking about the Gladius, and they talked about finishing a ship's design up to as complete a standard as possible with current features. So it pretty much means that ships are always going to be improved upon, just like how planets are always being improved upon, and it constantly being evolved, and it shows. Honestly, I think it shows. Not just in the footage they showed off with ISC on Thursday, but with the game overall. Like you look at the Cutlass Black today versus the Cutlass Black 5 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
A completely different ship, so it's like they're constantly evolving, improving, so it's good.
Yeah.
And they did some passes optimization, exposing ship items and components, lighting, buttons, animation passes on the Gladius, on the Saber, and the Retaliator, and they showed off the Retaliator's modules, and they actually showed off the exteriors of the modules, which my first thought when I saw this was, okay, I want to see these, like literally like this lineup right here of the modules. I want to see this at a shop. Like I go to a shop that sells modules for ships, and you just see like these giant racks, almost like a Costco, but industrial sized Costco.
I'm thinking you could probably
modules
see those
like
like
this.
I'm thinking that you would see those in like maybe the cargo decks.
Yeah. No, exactly like that. Where you see all the shipping containers, that sort of thing, but with modules.
Yeah.
Where just like racks upon racks of modules like this, and you'd be able to shop and like, oh, I want this, crew quarters module for my ship or something, or these bomber modules. I don't know. I think it'd be really cool. Especially since they actually went to the length of actually designing an exterior for the modules themselves.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with some of them, you'll be able to, because like the drop pod one, you'll actually be able to, you're flying over, you stop, drop the pod with the troops still in it, and then fly off, and the pod stays there.
So I have a question. I know one of them is supposed to be a habitation module, like so
Yeah.
that you can actually
Living
live in it.
quarters,
So what's gonna stop you from just dropping that pod on, you know, a
In
moon
theory, nothing.
and
Nothing.
going like, this is now my home base?
Nothing.
Like, will it persist?
That's
It
a
should.
that's a good question. What will it
should,
persist?
TM.
As long as nobody comes and
And like salvages
up.
it.
messes.
Hey,
it
look,
up
a free
and
module.
capacity.
I can just
Would you
see
look at that?
being out
Then
in
your
the
new
air in
home's on
Halo.
somebody's ship.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said if what Mando said happens, then your new home's on somebody's ship.
Yeah.
Somebody just
Yeah.
comes picks it up.
Well, I'm gonna go fly it out into like Aaron's Halo belt, just find an asteroid and plop it down on there. No one will ever find it.
Well, like it'd
Including
be
me.
cool if it's like, hey, you're
You're
out
gonna
in
so
some
forget which asteroid it's on.
godforsaken barren wasteland of a planet. You know, it's like your supplies are low. You're almost out of oxygen. You see something in the distance. You're like, what is? I see something. You hurry toward it, and you're like, some fucking random living quarters module. Fuck it, get me in there, You know, you're trying to get in there. You hack through the doors, or maybe they're already open. You close them up. You're like, you know, and you're just like that, and that just saves you. Like, that's gonna happen. It's gonna happen at some point.
The best part of this game, you open it up, and some guy just living in there, and he just goes, "What the fuck? Who the hell are you? What are you doing here?"
He's sitting there with his coffee, his newspaper. And
He's like, "What the fuck? What are you doing here? What? You want coffee? But like, what the fuck?"
It's like it turns out it's like some like the most famous person in it's like Chris Roberts' own character just sitting there in the middle of nowhere,
Butt naked, but
you?
combat, reading a newspaper, drinking coffee.
Oh my God.
That would just be utterly hilarious. You're just like,
Guys, I just came up with a skit for one of the VidCon, CitizenCon videos. Just like a derelict, like a ship that, you know, our best attempt to make the ship look like it crash landed and is dead, and now that a small ship like, I don't know, like something like the Nomad or the Terrapin,
one of
just
the actual wrecks.
and it makes it like an actual, make it look like a wreck, so this way it's still like people
Why
are
not-
living
why
in
not
it
use
and
one of the
it actually
actual
functions. And some guy just like it starts out some guy walking, you know, through like a, you know, say it's one of the moons of Microtech, right, where it's like super cold and like this almost like a gray desert, but a chilly desert, and it's like finally something in the distance, as you can, exactly as you pointed out. Just that entire thing plays out in the video. Just ends with like, wait, what? Who are you? What? Want some coffee?
It's like who what? And then
What?
the other
Why?
person
Who?
just
What?
goes,
Where? What?
Coffee?
Either that or it's going to be exactly like you said. And then you're going to go up there and it's just going to be pirates.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing:
Like,
we
oh,
don't need
boy.
to
It's gonna be
recreate that
some-
ourselves, because at some of the Starfarer wrecks at the moment, usually the ones that aren't upside down, because some of the Starfarer wrecks are actually upside down. At some of the Starfarer wrecks, you do have pirates actually in the cargo bay and throughout the ship, just kind of salvaging what's left of the wreck. So we can just go to one of those and make a video there, where it's like you find something. It's a Starfarer wreck. Finally, shelter. You go in, and then all these pirates start blasting at you, and it turns into a whole combat situation.
I want it to be the
combat. Sorry, go on.
I want it to be the trucker guy from Dodgeball who keeps wanting his truck wheels washed.
Oh God.
God can't.
Yeah, get in there, nice and deep, boy.
Yeah, as he fingers his belly button.
Yeah.
I mean, you do you, but
It is such a weird scene, but that movie is really good.
Yeah. And you'll never be able to make a movie like that again.
Oh
in our
God, no!
society.
That's the sad part about it. You know, the
Yeah,
funniest
well-
part of that movie, I think, is the fact that Ben Stiller, Ben Stiller, who plays White, and his wife plays the What's-Face's, I guess you can say What's-Face's girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the characters' names, but the chick who at the end they go, "Damn, I told you she was a lesbian."
rip.
But anyways,
But
So
yeah,
I
that
think
that was just
takes care
funny.
of
I always found that
modules.
funny because like essentially you have his wife is slapping him throughout the movie and insulting him, and well, not different from a
question
regular
is,
marriage,
did he write it that way or did she write it that way?
right? It's like begs the question like who enjoyed it more.
Your mom.
Moving on. Just overall, this month in Star Citizen, we got an August update. It's just like a brief overview of what's happening this month and what has happened. So in August, we've got the Taurus, the constellation Taurus, which rounds out the entirety of the constellation series of ships. So now all the constellations are flyable in the persistent universe. We got the landing zone of Orison, which is the floating city in Crusader, the gas giant. We've got the Free Fly, which the Free Fly includes the Mercury Star Runner, 100i, Aurora MR, Anvil Arrow, and Prospector, free to use as part of the Free Fly, which started August 18th and ends August 27th. We got the Nine Tails event, which will be triggering throughout 314. In my experience, it's pretty much every weekend. So pretty much Saturday and Sundays. We got the all-new remastered Xenothreat. And they're gonna have more information via comms later on that. We got the special referral bonus for Alpha 314, where you refer a friend, and you and the friend pretty much. So referral program, the way it works, as brief summary is, when someone creates an account, they have an option to enter a code, which is a referral code that you only get when you create your account, but you can use other people's referral code. So if Cam were to create an account, he can use my referral code in his account creation, and that would give him an extra 5,000 in-game credits, as well as, at least for this month, a Drake Dragonfly with a unique skin. And I would also get this Drake Dragonfly with unique skin as part of this referral program.
And the 5,000 UEC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, no, that's when the game comes out, not just when you're playing the alpha.
Right. That's going to be tied to your account when the game comes out.
Yeah, it's like a permanent.
Yep.
It's not like you said. It's non. What is that called? I can't think of the word right now.
Placeholder?
You can't. Yeah, you can't trade it for back for.
Transferable.
Yeah, it's not. It's not transferable. It's It's tied
Just
to your
for
account
room.
permanently.
Yeah, it is, but it does have LTI, so that's another good thing.
Right.
And the referral code has a tier ladder, so the more people you get using your code, the more
stuff
perks start to
you
get.
get. Yeah. We also got Ship Showdown. So this is just this came out I think today. Yeah, this came out today. It started today.
Hmm.
So we got the Ship Showdown, which is pretty much they do this pretty much every year. It's kind of like think like NBA bracket type thing where it's two ships against each other and people vote on which ship they like better, and then whichever ship wins goes on to the next round, and eventually we get the best ship or the best four ships, and well, at least last year's the best four, and these ships end up getting the best in show skin as part of the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. So they're gonna get a unique paint job.
Which
so,
is later on in the year.
Yeah, which is November? Yeah, late November. So last year it was the Carrack, Cutlass Black, the Eclipse, if I remember correctly. And what the hell was the fourth one?
Is it the Caterpillar?
I don't think so, because this last year was the white and gold, the white, black, and gold one. Yeah, the Valkyrie. It was the Valkyrie. So those were the four ships last year that won. And this year might be different. I mean, it was different the year before. The year before it was the Caterpillar, the Reclaimer, Hammerhead, and the Cutlass Black again. So the Cutlass Black is a multi-year champion.
I'd be willing to bet we see the Star Runner this year.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm almost 100% certain.
Carrick.
Pisces.
Okay, honestly, I would absolutely go for the Pisces.
I just want to have a unique skin for my Pisces.
No, I fully agree. Honestly, we need to see a hell of a lot more skins and paint. We need to see that system being used a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, because honestly,
Oh,
I'm kind
you
of
know
getting
what?
to the point where, I've got the weapons I want on my ship. I've got the power plants, the coolers, the shield generators, the quantum drives. I want to be able to customize how my ship looks. To make it like, so this way people fly. I'm flying around. People go, oh, that's me. That they see Mando flying around.
I think the Pisces might also make a good medevac ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been
That might
wanting
be an option.
I've been wanting liveries on the vehicles ever since, or vehicles.
Vehicle skins would be nice
ships,
too.
Ever since we seen that Benny's, what ship was that? The Benny's delivery ship.
That was the
I've been wanting,
Reliance.
like company liveries, yeah, like
That was the
Was it
Reliant
300
years
series?
ago.
it was a 300 series, I think. Yeah.
No, I thought it was the Reliance series.
Oh no, you're right. It was the Reliance series, 100%.
It's the one that looks like a giant wing.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
B-wing type ship where it rotates and yeah.
One thing I'll
Yeah,
note
ever since
too,
they've done
especially
that.
for the Terrapin and Pisces, one thing that also makes them really good is like evac ships is that they both use ramps, not stairs.
Yep.
No elevators. So that means you can drag gurneys, people, whatever else in and out real easy.
Or if somebody's incapacitated or in a crawling state, they can still get in.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like if you were trying to get to an Aurora, you're not getting in there if you're stuck crawling.
Yeah.
Well, they might go and make some. Like, I could definitely see them once this stuff progresses. I could see them making like some kind of animation where it's like, sure, it takes you 10-15 seconds to get in there, but you're able to crawl your ass in there.
Yeah,
But
but
that'd be
like if
something
you have a
down the line.
ladder and a guy's incapacitated and you're carrying him, how are you going to get him in? Like that's
Yeah,
to
no,
me, that's
exactly.
where
That's-
the ramp.
So if you had the 300 series, you'd have to stow him in the cargo hold in order to transport him.
By the way, is that cargo hold pressurized? I don't know.
We'll find
We'll
out.
find out.
I would say
Yeah.
at this point, I would say no, but
Doesn't need to be, yeah. Although, you know what? Depending on the cargo, it might.
who knows?
Very possibly.
Depending on the cargo, it might. But yeah, the ship showdown. This year it's a little different because there's a contest around it. Just like with the Citizen Con video contest that they have, there is a similar contest, except more strict, but not exclusive to video. So unlike the Citizen Con video contest, for those who don't know, is pretty much the CID is asking the community for pretty much like a in-universe commercial, like an lore-friendly in-universe commercial or comedy skit that will then be featured if won. Will be featured during CitizenCon between panels, because CitizenCon this year is all digital. Usually they'll have like a physical event, but this year they're not due to COVID-19. And the difference here is that you can't do a group thing. So with the CitizenCon video, all four of us can make a video and get credit and all that. Although they maxed it out to 3 participants can win the prizes, you can have as many people as you want actually working on the video and make it a group effort. Here, you can only have, it's a single thing. You can't have group submissions. Literally, one of the rules here is group submissions on behalf of more than one person, including player organizations, are not permitted and will not be considered. A contest entry must be submitted by the individual who created it. It's not. You can only. It's not that only one person can work on it, but only one person's going to get credit, and only one person can then
That probably
submit
makes it easier for their legal department
Yeah.
as well.
Also, it's not like, whereas the CitizenCon thing, it would not make sense to do what they're doing here with the ship showdown. So I'm not totally against this. Like, if they were doing this for the ship showdown and for the CitizenCon video, I'd be a little annoyed, because like the whole point of CitizenCon is to kind of celebrate the community that's been built around this game. But here with the ship showdown, to pretty much like make an original song, build something from Lego, take an epic in-game screenshot, or make a trailer or music video. You know, pretty much anything that features a Star Citizen ship, and then that's pretty much it. That's all you need.
Anything.
And the winner is going to get, or 10 winners are going to get a Origin 100i as the prize.
Or else.
Yeah.
During Phase 1. So they talk about Phase
During
1. I don't
Phase
know what
1.
Phase 2 is.
Don't ask questions.
Pretty much you can submit it. So here are some like entries, actual entries that have been made already. You got like a Lego Hornet here. You got Anvil Arrow model. Some guy made
Yeah,
a
looks-
Vanguard
looks like a bit of
drone,
models.
like a little yellow molded Vanguard with, attached to a drone. Here's a 300i. Oh my god! Wow, if you can do this, then you really can do anything. They painted a rock to look like a prospector.
Why
I
not?
am not shitting you.
Why not?
That is awesome. Okay, here that's pretty cool. It's a record player, but look very closely on the record player.
But
Origin.
I barely know her.
Got a caterpillar model here. So this is pretty much examples of what you can do. You can make a painting. I'm probably gonna do this. I like that Banu one. And it
Banu?
Banu. And you got Lego what's-his-face, a caterpillar, got a hammerhead. That's supposed to be a cutlass?
Don't ask questions.
Had a card, so you really can do pretty much anything. So there you go. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. So that's the community call. So you have until, for anyone that wants to take part in this and a member of the community on Spectrum on Star Citizen's forum site. The contest ends duration. So it started today and it ends September 6th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So you got a few days. September 6th, I think that's Rosh Hashanah. Anyway, but yeah, so then you have the live showdown, which is going to be that the actual showdown, as we talked about before, where you have brackets, where you actually have ships versus ships, and you vote on the ship that you want to win. If you how about this? If you had to pick from one of the ships that are just here in the screen, we got the Caterpillar, 300i, Nomad, Hammerhead, Mercury Star Runner, Tavaran, Talon, right? And the Avenger. Which of those ships would you choose? Personally, leaning toward the Hammerhead. Just I've been having a lot of fun with it lately,
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, and
especially with the Ninetales event and Xenothreat.
I think it'd be nice to see them do it because, you know, another skin for a ship that doesn't have one yet as well.
Yeah, the Mercury. That's the thing. Mercury Star Runner, I can see winning, but it does have a lot of skins
But it
already.
has, and the Avenger has skins, right? And it's more customizable. The Caterpillar has skins, so I could definitely see the Hammerhead.
Hammerhead.
based on
Hammerhead
that.
does have the Best in Show skin from like 2 years ago now, but
Yeah, it doesn't
it's
have many.
not a good looking skin at all. Not, and I know some people do like it. That's not, you know,
Because 2 years ago was
whatever. That's another thing too. Is you had to upgrade the ship to look like that. Like it wasn't just a skin like the Best in Show skin was last year, because it was before they had their paint scheme system. They had to upgrade your ship. It was a free upgrade, but you had to upgrade your ship to get it. Like I still have the eligibility to upgrade my Cutlass Black to the Best in Show skin from that year, but I just don't like it at all.
yeah.
I
the
prefer the
isn't that
default
great.
look over it, so I never did.
I didn't mind the.
The
I didn't mind it
Caterpillar
on
also
the,
had.
black.
It was no the white and black was great. I use that one all the time. That was last
I
year.
said I didn't mind the purple and gray one on the black, the Cutlass black.
Oh, with the
Yeah,
it was an off white and it was purple.
Down.
It was off white and it was like matte purple. It just
Yeah.
didn't look. It looked weird in my. Like if it was, and that it wasn't even the colors of that year. Like that year, the IAE colors were like hot pink, like hot rod pink, and white. So and it should have been pink with white as a secondary, but because that's what they did with IAE last year. Because last year the colors were white with black, and had gold accent. So they did white and black with gold accents. So all the skins. The ships included yellow windshields and some gold accents for some parts here. We're behind on chat, so Tailum29's in saying hello everyone. Magician1 says, hey dude, dropping a just wanted to say hi and leave a like. Gonna stream, have a good stream. And Tailum29 says, maybe phase 2 is you win the jab. Only kidding. No, with phase 2 is when you when we vote on the ships. But of the ships here, honestly, I'm voting with the Hammerhead, just of what's on the screen right now. I mean, the Avenger is a fun ship. Like it's a good starter ship. That's probably the best starter ship of the bunch.
For price, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I just meant of the starter ships on screen right now. There's only one other one, the 300i. 300i is, I want to say beefier and has better weapons, but and even has a bigger cargo hold, but it's just not as fun as the Avenger. Or as good looking. I know it's an Origin ship, but the Avenger looks better, let's be honest.
Yeah.
The Penguin any day. For anyone who don't know, we call the Avenger the Penguin because if it was standing on its engines, it looks like a penguin.
I'd like to see another Caterpillar skin too.
Yeah, Caterpillar, I mean, it only has 2 skins. It's got the pirate skin and the Best in Show skin from 2 years ago.
Yeah, same year.
The Nomad doesn't have any skins that I'm aware of. The Talon has the Talon Shrike, but that's a variant, not a skin.
Lies.
But again, they just have ships here. You know, they're gonna have a vote between every ship possible, which will be fun. The little constellation.
The Starry Night.
Oh yeah. Like he literally just he just photoshopped a Carrack and the old model Crusader in front of it. I really like the Lego Hornet. You can tell he used parts from a Lego X-Wing set, which is very fitting, I think.
I think it's cool how a lot of people are doing the models.
Yeah.
Because
definitely you can tell they're 3D printed. This one's definitely really good quality, but I've been seeing a lot of 3D printed stuff, so I kind of when you see it a lot, you can tell there's some little differences, but because it depends on how well it's not just how well it 3D prints, but it's how well the person who 3D printed it then irons out all the seam lines and stuff.
Can't say I've ever printed before, so
I've never printed myself, but I've seen enough. I've seen it enough times.
That's what they all say.
I've also had someone give me, like, I have held 3D printed stuff before. I just never done it myself.
And it burns.
So and you try like you know smooth out the seam lines depending on the quality of the 3D printer. The Banu painting. I don't know, I gotta say though, this Prospector Rock though, I mean, come on. It's a Prospector Rock. Oh, and then here are some of the, you can also upload your stuff to Twitter. Oh my god, someone, what do they do, make it out of Play-Doh?
Why not?
It's a Banu made out of Play-Doh, that's amazing. Damn, look at the quality of this model. This Cutlass Black here. That's a lot of Grey Cat PTVs loaded into a Vanguard hanger. Yeah, there's no way I'd probably be able. Any entry I make is going to be shouted entirely.
I don't know. I think there's still a point in trying, right?
Yes. I mean, I don't see the point at this point. It would be a futile effort, I think.
Well, and I imagine, so keep in mind, while there are a lot of models pictured there, I think they'll probably go for more of a variety than just specifically models.
Well,
So
I mean, let's be
videos,
honest, I can't do the model.
pictures,
Even if I wanted to, I
models.
can't do the models.
Yeah, so like a video or something like that. I'm sure you'll see that kind of thing picked too.
Oh, look at the little Lego Pisces. So cute.
Do we have any other topics?
We do. So the free fly, I figured we should at least talk about it because it's been half a week. Free fly ends in a few days, 4 days. Oh wait, I forgot to mention here. So specifically in the ship showdown. So phase 1 is the initial. So phase 1 is gonna start with the initial vote. Well, here it's interesting. It says phase 1 is the initial vote, but then here it says phase 1 is
Phase
the
one is
contest.
essentially just you going and doing stuff to get your ship referenced. After that, they go and take the 16 ships that were referenced the most, and that's when the actual voting starts. We are not voting until the top 16 ships picked from all the community stuff people are already putting out right now until that's been correlated at the end of this.
Right, and phase 2 is definitely the final voting according to the website as well. And then there will be a free fly afterwards. All 16 ships will be available for pledge, and the final 4 ships will also be will take the spotlight in an epic free fly from September 20th to the 27th. Got a 7-day free fly in September from the 20th to 27th with the winning 4 ships. Cool. So now it's just going to be like, okay, what ships do I want to win so I can fly them around?
Or which ship do I want to win so I can actually pledge for it?
They can actually what it?
I said you also said that they're all going to be pledgeable ships, right?
Right.
So if you want a certain ship that you haven't been able to pledge for, you might want to vote for that.
No, all 16 ships are going to be.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, never mind then. Yeah.
All 16 will be available for pledge. The final 4 will be in the free fly.
Gotcha. The final 4 will be in the free fly. That's good.
Also, I gotta say, I love the little trailer they had for the ship showdown. I have it on screen right now. Just The voiceover. It was interesting to hear a different voiceover for once. Anyway, so that's really it for the Star Citizen news. Plus, also, you want to talk about the Free Fly new player guide thing that we were talking about before the stream?
Oh, I was just I wanted to note it because I hadn't noticed that they were doing like intros. If that's what you're talking about, like the player guide itself, that's something new. They've
No, I'm saying before the stream started, we were talking about on the website.
The pictures.
The pictures.
Oh no,
yes.
I said we weren't going to talk about that because
Oh,
it didn't
okay.
seem that it was going to be popular.
Who cares if it's popular or not?
Pineapples.
Also, I'm on the wrong thing here. This is Free Fly. Oh, well, I should mention, if anyone is interested in participating in the Free Fly, I will put the link in the chat. There you go. And pretty much you just create an account with the link in the description. There's a link in the description to create an account with one of our referral codes in the description as well. And then you can read all this. Just very basic instructions. You copy this code. Once you're signed in, you enter the code, download the game. There you go. You're in. You have all these ships to fly for the Free Fly. It ends in 4 days. Enjoy. But yeah, before the stream started, we were talking about the new player guide. And how...
I mean, I think it's good. They've needed an updated version.
Oh yeah.
For quite a while, but I would also like to see more guides that are geared towards like, hey, you just woke up in your room. What do you do? Because there's a ton of stuff that we all take for granted after having played the game for, even a month. You don't even think about things, and somebody's standing in a room going, there's a bunch of things that glow when I look at them. What's going on?
Right, and it's essentially, honestly, what would be really helpful too is probably like a video version of this exact web page.
What do you mean a video version?
Like pretty much essentially like including either a video tutorial or essentially just reading this stuff off this way, if people do. Because I know personally I'd rather read articles or read something like this over a video sometimes, but that's me, not everyone else.
I'd like to see like maybe short YouTubes talking like less than 5 minutes that are just kind of like labeled like, okay, you woke up in a room, what do you do? And it just walks you through how to get to like the ground floor. And in that process, it just gives you very basic instructions of what your key bindings are.
Like interacting with MFDs, interacting with the elevator, stuff like that.
Nothing in depth, not like how to customize, your inventory or anything. Just the basics. How to open the door, your interact key, that kind of stuff, like what Cleo said.
And they do.
And then break that up so that maybe you all, the next video is, okay, you're at the ground floor. Where are you trying to go? Do you want to go to town center and go shopping? Here's a 5-minute video on how to get to generally figure out, hey, are you aware that in this game you need to actually like read the signs that are around you and they'll tell you where to go? Because a lot of players don't know that. Like they're just, they
actually have a tutorial thing on the site.
Like, I have no idea where I'm supposed to go, and some other players like, dude, there's a sign right in front of you, and they're like, oh, those are real? Like those are accurate? We don't think about that, but new players don't know that.
Yeah, because generally when you get into a new game, it's pretty linear. At least there's one way to go, and that's the way.
Yeah, whereas here you can go like there's 5 different paths that all lead you to different areas.
There's 5 different spawns. So even choosing where to spawn, right? Like,
yep.
Well, there's
That would be
four.
a
When you
good
first
intro.
start out, there's 4 different spawns. But yes,
Yeah, well, you get what I'm saying. Like,
still a
I'd
lot.
like to
Yes.
I'd
Yeah,
like to
still
see
a
a
lot.
video that actually talks to you about how to customize your character, because I mean, it's easy to get lost in that system.
Yeah. Like I mean,
So-
I've been doing, and they mentioned here on the site the guide system on Spectrum, where pretty much
Yeah.
you go to Spectrum, you can request a guide, and it'll give you a list of guides to choose from. I'm on that system, so I get a lot of guide requests. In the past 3 weeks, I've been getting over 20,
Yeah,
and
I guess what I'm thinking.
a lot of the
is
time,
that
like, people don't know about, like, oh, you can look at the screen and get the full shop inventory, not just what's on display and stuff like that.
Well-
So yeah.
I think one of the things that has been one of the reasons they haven't done any of that kind of stuff is, the patches keep changing.
I would say, and that,
and,
yeah,
you know,
obviously
the
that's the
commands
reason they
change and all
don't.
that stuff, and that's why I think it'd be good just to do kind of generic ones where it's like, they're short, so, and if they need to take one down or change it, they can do that quickly, and it's not changing like a half-hour video. And the other thing is, have them not necessarily go so much into detail, just skim what the commands are, so that way if the commands
Honestly,
change,
I think they kind of.
hopefully.
I'm reading through the site here because they have a welcome hub, and it's pretty much it's a little lengthy, but it's got it pretty down pat. Exactly what you're talking about. It's just because it's not in a vault, like, it's being displayed in visual text and not through audio.
Well,
It looks a
and
little
visual text on their website. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
information like that for new players isn't something you should have to look for. It's something that should be given.
Yes.
To
And
agreed.
that's.
I'm just saying. I'm
another point
just saying. Like,
this
it's
is
pretty much
about-
like a script for that video. It's just because it's a script for that video kind of thing. It's a little lengthier
Yeah.
than the video itself would be. A lot shorter, just because it'd be someone saying it versus you reading it.
Well, here's the other thing: is like, this is up now, but 6 months from now or a year from now, how easy is it going to be to find this specific post? And as a new player, how are you going to know to go search for it? Whereas
I'm not a
if
new
you
player,
just-
and I had difficulties finding this. So yeah.
Right. So to me, if they had them up on the YouTube channel, because I think that's where a lot of people would initially start searching, is online YouTube. Hey, show me how to get out of this room. And if Star Citizen just had 5 or 6 videos, intro videos that were sequenced, like, number 1, watch this one. This is how you create your character. Number 2, this is how you get out of your room. Number 3, this is how you get to the spaceport. Number 4, this is how you go shopping. Number 5, here's how you talk and chat and start asking questions of the community in the local chat that you're in, and they'll be able to answer more questions. And those will have longer lifespans, even if we get patches that change, that the underlying core button inputs and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, if that's all we got, I think we can move on to the next topic. The next topic is a doozy. It's Cyberpunk. We finally heard back from Cyberpunk.
Les?
The patch 1.3 is their first real DLC. It makes actual changes, and really the only change it actually does is changing the UI of a menu for when you're choosing which doll, or essentially which hooker to have sex with, male or female. Like, there's now a visual menu versus having to remember their names and then getting the wrong one. And the patch is 50 gigs.
Yeah, perfect. Just exactly what everybody wanted them to work on.
Yep. It's been largely panned because of that. It's like, no, we want actual, like, things like the cops still spawn behind you when you're, when you're fighting the law. So there's no real change.
That's, you know what? And I think that speaks to I mean, I hope that doesn't become the norm. But I mean, I guess it is one game. But I think
Well,
that speaks
it's funny.
to like the developer more so than anything, because you look at a game like, I guess we haven't given them a bunch of time, but you look at a game, No Man's Sky, right? Where yes, they did mess up on the release, but they worked extremely hard afterwards to fix that, right?
Well, that
And
being
it's
said, though,
now
you're
considered a good
absolutely
game.
right. But how long was it from
Like
first
I
release
said,
until they had their first big content patch?
oh yeah, like I said, I do think it's been a bit different because of the time spans, but I do think
Yeah.
it kind of shows you like
Oh yeah, I mean,
if they're not willing
they
to work
could
on the
potentially do
game,
it. They could potentially
they
turn
definitely
it
could.
around and make it to the point where in 5 years we'll all be sitting there going, "Man, Cyberpunk's such a great game." Now, now that we have 5 years worth of updates behind it now and DLCs and stuff, and it would depend too with No Man's Sky. Every update they've put out so far has been a free update.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
been no microtransaction or anything else there. And I think with the multiplayer, I want to say, CD Projekt Red said there will be, once that module does release, because that's still in the works too, there will be microtransactions in there. So we don't know how monetized stuff may or may not be.
Well, here's another aspect that I think is a positive for No Man's Sky, is that
Mhm.
the developer was on record as saying, like, the initial game that we got, the way that it was empty and you felt like you were alone, that was his intention. But after getting player feedback of players going, yeah, that's great, but that's not what we wanted,
And
he
not what was
actually
advertised.
willing to change like the game.
It wasn't
for
what was
the
advertised, by
players.
the way.
And that's not, I don't see that as happening with so
With
far
Cyberpunk.
with Cyberpunk. I don't hear them listening to the people and going, oh, hey, maybe, the players don't like the way we're doing something, let's change that.
Yeah, they're
So,
not willing to compromise on something in the game too. At
yeah.
least it seems. I'm not saying
So
that for
far.
sure. And like
I'm
I
not-
said, the time span is completely different, so Cyberpunk most definitely could become an insane game. I just think it's a little
Right now,
little much to
it's
think about
obviously
that.
not.
Yeah, right.
I'm
now.
not real up on Cyberpunk, but so is this their first real big kind of iteration release?
Yeah, that's
Well,
why
Well,
it's.
I would say
It's the
the
first patch
one where
that
they-
changes
where they
things.
added well I mean they had some pretty fucking huge bug fix
Yeah.
patches out there, but this is the first real patch where they've actually gone in and changed something that isn't necessarily
They've also
a bug
added
fix,
some
more of
content
a-
in the form, and be free to laugh at this, but they've added some content in the form of cosmetics, like a jacket or two.
But
yeah,
I would say just that this is the first patch that's really has a greater amount of quality of life changes as opposed to just bug fixes to make the game actually in a playable state.
Gotcha.
So even still, we still haven't really seen any new huge content drops or anything like that. So that's still kind of up in the air as to, because whatever they do for their first actual new content drop, whether it's a paid DLC, whether it's a free DLC, that's gonna reflect a lot on where are they going from here. What are they planning on doing? What will Cyberpunk be in the future? That's gonna be their first step in that direction. So until then, it's kind of just who knows.
Gotcha.
Who knows? I knows.
Yeah, and so yeah, they added some jackets and changed some menus, but that's really about it. And what's funny and a little sad is that mods are changing and improving the game more than Cyberpunk has, than the CD Projekt Red has in the last few months. Like, there are mods that actually make it a true RPG compared to what CD PR has done. So, in other words, this has become a Bethesda game at this point.
Worse.
Oh, speaking of
Worse than I would
Bethesda, did you see there's another edition of Skyrim coming out?
That's right. There is another edition of Skyrim comes out because you know what? If you keep, they'll keep dishing it out. If you keep taking it.
You know what I want to say? The actually saddest thing about that is the fact that was what, a week or two ago, that we were making jokes about that.
Should we call this
Well,
the 50 Shades of Skyrim?
well, so what I'll note with this,
I want that to be the
actually
next
have-
one, call sign.
I actually have looked into this a bit. So what it is, so this is going to be called the Skyrim Anniversary Edition because it's going to be releasing 10 years to the
10
day
years.
after
Mhm.
the original Skyrim release. It's going to be for latest gen consoles, of course. It's also going to be a update on PC. Now, one thing I'll note here,
Wouldn't that be
there's
Centennial?
as of whatever, but yes, but um, there has been some amount of differing information being put out as to whether, at least on PC, is this a free update that, like they did from Skyrim Legendary Edition to Skyrim Special Edition, if you had all the DLCs, you would get Special Edition for free if you had it already in Steam. We don't know if it's going to be something along those lines or if you are going to have to pay to get Anniversary Edition because what they're going to have, there's going to be some like visual changes and I think support for like 4K, something like that. But their other big draw for what's different about this version
Is fishing,
that
right?
they're including a lot of content that was previously in the Creation Club and locked behind the paywalls of the Creation Club will be included to stock in the Anniversary Edition. So because of that, it's kind of up in the air for on PC of is this going to be a free update? Are they going to be charging 15, 20, 30, $45 for this? We don't know at this point.
So from the extremely small bit that I read about it
Hmm.
was and like you said there, obviously I haven't read many sources. From what you said, there's multiple different sources saying different things, but from what I had read was that the update, and specifically the stuff including like the fishing and all that's being added in, will be free.
I would hope so, and that would definitely help to build more goodwill. At as much exasperation will come from another Skyrim release, but it would definitely help to build more goodwill to them. Even if they did like a $15, hey, you pay $15, you get Anniversary Edition. If you already had special, I'd be like, but why am I giving you more money when I already own the product and I might already own that Creation Club content? So if I want to have the visual changes with the content I already own, I have to buy the content again because it will be a separate item in your Steam library. So like I said, at this point we don't know. Presumably we'll be getting more information as we draw closer to early November here. So yeah, and amongst other things, the big thing they did show off on what is being included was they're adding in fishing. But I am assuming, and again, this is just my personal assumption based on what I have seen in the Creation Club for Skyrim, which in my last time there was months and months, if not over a year ago. But one of the first things they put out there was a camping slash temperature slash um, food slash disease mod. So essentially, it was a Bethesda's version of the Frostfall camping and realistic needs and diseases mods kind of rolled into one survival mod for Skyrim for those who wanted a little bit of a more hardcore RPG experience where you're actually having to, hey, I have to eat. Hey, I just got diseased. I need to go and cure that. Hey, it's fucking cold out because I just jumped in an icy river. I need to go build a campfire. That kind of shit. I'm assuming it's going to be stuff along those same kind of lines that'll play up that survival kind of thing because fishing kind of plays in that same kind of thing. Hey, I need food. Oh, I can fish. Cool. Let's go fish. So I'm assuming there'll be shit along those lines, but we don't know.
I just want to say I was wrong. It's not centennial. That'd be 100 years. So
That is 100 years. Yeah, I was gonna say it's decade, right?
Yeah.
Should be the decade edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
When have we ever quibbled over details?
Oh, never.
Oh, speaking of which, remember how yesterday we were talking about Robin becoming bi, or when I kept saying gay, and then I had to correct myself. So I put in our group chat the artwork from the issue where he's revealed to be bi, and just look at the faces; they're so horrible. Like, if you can you look at it, because I can't. That face
don't
gives.
want to.
Is
That
the
face will
picture you
haunt me
posted
forever
before
now.
there?
What?
Is that the picture you posted before with Robin skating like back to back with some other
Yeah.
person?
Yeah.
I mean,
Look
it
at the
looks
face on the
okay.
right.
It's better than what I can draw. That's all I'll say. I'm more of a stick figure kind of guy myself, artistically.
And I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
but
and
stick
that
figures
just
can
kinda
look better
shows
than
you-
this.
That kind of shows you it's better than I can draw. Shows you the state of the comic book industry right
You're right. Yeah.
That comment.
I mean,
tonight.
yeah.
It's like, look,
You're
that's just.
not wrong. But...
Okay, I just wanted to mention that.
I mean, these guys can barely even get a couple sentences together. You would expect them to be actual artists as well.
Right.
You're just expecting too much. Jeez.
Anyway, so back to the Cyberpunk thing real quick. I did pull up the patch notes. So additional content, a list of all the free DLCs can be found in the main menu under additional content. So they actually now have like all the DLCs are going to be listed in the game, despite not being there. We've got improved minimaps zoom level when driving, so that it's more zoomed out and easier to navigate, which huge pain in the ass, and it still is, as I've heard. Besides, mods have been doing this for months, almost over half a year now. We got added a button which allows to reallocate the distribution of perks on a character's skill tree. So essentially, a reset button for perk points. Increased the number of slots for autosaves from 10 to 20, and for quick saves from 3 to 10 across all platforms. Added database links to journal entries. Added an accessibility option for center of screen dot overlay, which helps with reducing and avoid motion sickness. It can be enabled in settings, interface, and fixers will now message V to offer a car for purchase less often. I'll be honest, a little annoying. Although, why those were missions and not just like shop locations was beyond me. Improved the screen space reflections effect so that it looks less grainy on consoles and lower visual settings qualities on PCs. Added a filter for quest items in the backpack. Quest item tags from miscellaneous job items will now be removed after finishing associated quests, allowing to sell or drop them. It is now possible to rotate V in the inventory with a mouse. Wow. 50 gigs for that. Players will now... So automatic love, a screen with pictures of Sky and Angel, the two prostitutes you can sleep with, which you actually don't ever sleep with, will be displayed substantially longer, making it easier to choose between the two. As it was just popped up for a millisecond, and then you remember that. Again, not exactly a fix that required attention compared to everything else that's wrong with the game, but...
Well, one thing though I'll note in terms of like size of patch versus content of the patch, they could very well be putting stuff in to put down a foundation for, hey, our next patch has this. Let's get some of the fundamentals that we need for it in now, so we don't have to worry about it later. Or hey, our DLC's coming in. Let's get some of those textures and meshes in now, so that we can make sure behind the scenes everything's working properly there, and then push the content out.
See, at this point, I'm just convinced that large game updates and large games are just a ploy by SSD companies to sell more.
I'm gonna bow out here, guys. So
All right.
good show, and I'll see everybody next week.
Wait, you were seeing us? What else?
Your settings are mine.
I need to change. I need to get rid of this camera.
Joke's on you. I don't have a camera.
Not to go wildly off topic, but I in my day job I work in IT. One of the most hilarious phishing attempts that we've seen, or threatening emails that we've seen, is where someone goes and spams out to the company, I've hacked your webcam. I've seen you doing naughty things on your computer, and if you don't pay me X amount of money, I'm gonna tell your employer, your wife, your kids, and all of Facebook what you did. And it's like, that's great and all. However, our workstations don't have webcams,
Yep.
So,
And not only that, but you just sent it to my work computer, so now my work already knows.
Right.
Exactly. It's like, and this is going to your work emails, and it's like, cool. So, reported as phishing. It goes to our security team automatically. It blocks the sender. Have a nice day.
And also the fact that you don't have a wife or kids that you know of, and
that too. And it's just like the story is falling apart the more you analyze it.
exactly. Like if this happened, if I got one of those, it's like I don't have a camera at all. Like the only camera I have is my phone, and it's always facing either the floor or a ceiling, depending on which camera. And that's about it. It's like, okay. Also, I don't have Facebook or whatever, so like, good luck with that part too. It's like, what are you gonna do?
Stuff.
So you just send an email back. Just remember, if you make any money off of it, remember to send me some.
Right.
Oh, of course.
I'd honestly, I mean, if I wasn't like kind of like, oh, you shouldn't be replying to these things, but it's like, I'd almost be like, are you making any money off of this? Like, does this work? I would just ask, like, are you at the point where you're questioning your life decisions yet?
Yeah.
See, the scary thing about those things is it does work, but only because certain people don't understand technology.
Right.
Like they're not looking for people who are at a job like cam working. They're looking for the old person or whoever who's just going to click a link or believe it, right? Without, really
How do I turn the
about it.
camera on? It is on,
Yeah,
Grandma.
my camera was on. And they don't realize
Right.
that it's just some random guy sending them an email.
Back to Cyberpunk though, which I mean, hacking, it's relevant.
Yep.
They actually do some. So they did balance changes. One of which was actually improving Proceed's hacking resistance in the mission transmission, as well as his combat behavior, as well as Oda's combat behavior in the Play It Safe mission. A lot of combat behavior changes in pretty much every mission where you fight a boss. Pretty much a lot of combat behaviors. They changed some of the behaviors of the police in the game, so they don't react and turn hostile upon because of dead bodies and open world activities. But they will now react to hitting NPCs with non-lethal weapons, which means there is a giant dildo bat in the game. So I guess if you were to hit people around the street with that, they would react. They also react to shooting crowds of NPCs. So there's some minor changes. So really the major parts of this patch are rebalances and some UI improvements.
Nothing crazy.
Most of the rebalances and gameplay stuff is related to crafting and inventory management, as well as AI behavior. For instance, here, gameplay, we got a fixed issue with crafting. Fixed issue occurred when visiting the Nomad camp. We've got a fixed issue. So again, just more bug fixes.
What is that sound?
That is my chair.
Is it vibrating until it explodes?
There's a little bit of C4 in between all the hinges, so if I have to keep.
Interesting.
Like one here is like V will no longer look down after using fast travel. I didn't even know that was a bug. And you got just some other things here, minor bugs, fixes here, rebalance there, added new items. Like there's nothing really. It's a large patch because it has a lot of UI fixes and a lot of bug fixes, and a lot of rebalancing. But there's no new content. It's just maintenance. It's just fixing.
Yeah.
And here, these are literally just like by quest, you can see what they fit. It's okay. I mean, yeah, it's not great. But moving on, we have Call of Duty Vanguard. So they had a new Call of Duty game. It is called Vanguard, and it's back at World War II.
Yeah.
Just can't give
So
it up,
you
man.
guys who play Call of Duty games.
I
Absolutely.
haven't. I think the last Call of Duty game I played was not World at War, Modern Warfare 3.
Okay, yeah. I absolutely despise when they go back to the World War Call of Duties and that kind of thing. Because I feel like Call of Duty, personally, only really works when it's a fast-paced game, and that just does not scream World War to me. Just doesn't fit.
Yeah. No, I actually agree a lot with that. At least the fact that Call of Duty, more so just that if you're doing a World War II game, you can't make it fast-paced. Is
exactly.
a better way of
like,
saying
people just running around. It's not like
modern
combat is more so like you're going through houses and
which is because the last
sorry, go for it.
No, you continue. I was gonna cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say no. I feel like with a lot of the modern stuff, it makes sense for a lot of the ways the game works, but with World War, it doesn't to me.
Yeah,
that so much suits a game like Battlefield.
That and even honestly, Battlefield is more Call of Duty these days, and because I played Battlefield 1, that was like the last Battlefield I played, and I hated it. Like, it was not the Battlefield I remembered. It was just really, again, it just felt more like Call of Duty than Battlefield. And it was World War One, where two, it was like not World War II, World War One. It's like you're not supposed to be running around willy nilly.
Yeah, you're in a trench, or
you're depending on what country and all that. You're on horseback, or you're in this, moving oven. It's like,
I think that's another big thing is you always hear the quote World War II, they came in on horses and left in planes, right? I think that's the big thing with Call of Duty is you don't have the option to it's just guns. It's just that's all it is hey, look, we have some World War II guns.
Yeah, it's just reskinned version of modern day stuff.
Yeah. So it's so much more rather than try to do something interesting than just go back to an old World War II.
Yeah, and World War II, it was look, I don't know, you ever played World at War?
Mm-hmm.
World at War I thought was a really good game because it wasn't super fast paced. Like it was all about taking cover and stuff like that. Also, the lighting in that game was absolutely garbage, but the gunplay was really good. You got the two campaign. I really loved it for its campaign because you had the U.S. campaign, right, where you're in the Pacific fighting Japanese, and then you had the Russian campaign where you're playing as Soviet soldiers taking Berlin, and it was really fun. But I
guess we will see, because I know they did with and like I said, I know you guys don't play Call of Duty, but with the last Modern Warfare they did was quite a bit toned down with the hyper running around. You're actually stopped. You're not just, like I said,
I think
just running
World
around.
At War had a really good balance of the pace of combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see. I don't think personally I don't buy Call of Duties anymore, but
as I said, I haven't bought one since whenever the hell Modern Warfare 3 came out. I keep having to stop myself saying from World at War just because that's really the last one I've played to world end, so to speak. It's because that was a really fun game. It was really one of the few good World War II, modern day-ish World War II shooters that I've played.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of shows you, yeah, we've had a shit ton of World War II shooters since then, but none of them are good.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what would be an interesting one to see for Call of Duty, because I don't think I can't remember if we probably had one, but Vietnam or Korean War.
So that's the
that
thing
would
is,
be-
I've been seeing a lot of people sick to their stomachs, and rightfully so, talking about like how we're sick of seeing World War II and World War I and modern day. We want to see other wars. And my first thought is Korean War.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been a game on the Korean War.
I think.
A first-person shooter game, at least.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be really interesting.
But
is if
there was
there
Vietnam in Black Ops 1. I was trying to think. It was Black Ops 1. But I get what you're saying.
We've had Vietnam games, but we haven't had a lot. I would go for a Vietnam game as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just said that Korean War just because Korean War it wasn't no pushover. First off, it was the first major conflict right after World War II. I think it would be an interesting thing. It's totally not because I've been rewatching MASH.
One thing that'd be really interesting to see for Call of Duty, because again, the idea is that it's military shooters. It'd be interesting to see them going, either like I said, go for some of this stuff or go further back in the past. How about a Call of Duty of the Revolutionary War
or the Civil War? Yeah,
back? Yeah, or even further back. I mean, because that would be a real challenge. It would be a real deviation from the standard, just bouncing between, here's fucking World War II. Oh, here's modern day. Oh, here's World War II. Oh, here's modern
day. And then here's futuristic version of modern day. Yeah.
Yeah, all that shit was
Hell, even if you want to go something like there was that that game that was scrutinized to hell because it was basing itself on 6 Days of Fallujah, I think was the name of the game, and it was scrutinized. We covered it a few months back, briefly, and even that game, it's based on Fallujah, back in early 2000s. It'd be a fun game. Afghanistan now. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry. I had to.
Well, it would be
Evac
interesting
simulator.
Seeing some of the conflicts, because it's like, for instance, it'd be interesting seeing like a video game, but not from the American perspective, because it's always about the American perspective.
Well, that's what I liked about World at War.
Like the Australian or British perspective, but flip this around a bit.
I mean, that's what I liked about World at War was you got to see the Russian perspective.
Yeah, it was the Russian versus German perspective.
Yeah,
and that was really unique. It was like, hey, this isn't really done too much.
I know Battlefield 5, as politically correct and all bullshit it was British versus Germany, but versus Nazis. But I would love to see, for instance, here's another great game.
It's always usually the general idea of the West versus bad guy.
Yeah,
right.
Or it'd be interesting, for example, to see a modern Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare kind of thing, but with the Israeli Defense Force versus.
I was about to say, what about Israeli dependence? Yom Ha'atzmaut game.
Yeah.
Where you're fighting
playing as the Afghanistan, National Guard, who are fighting against the bad guys and stuff like that. It would be really interesting.
Oh, I was saying fighting as the Israeli, what would become the Sahal, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force.
Yeah.
In 1948, that would be awesome.
Perspectives, because that lets you retell some of the same kind of stuff, but from a completely different perspective, and that's what would make the real difference there.
I just love I just love the idea of being able to play. First off, what they flew the Israeli Air Force, the first ever squadron, Squadron 101, was the Israeli Air Force, the first ever squadron of the Israeli Air Force before there really was an Israeli Air Force, was Squadron 101 called Malach HaMavet, which is Angels of Death. They were flying Messerschmitts, as what they're called. They were modified Messerschmitts, which were really old, crappy German planes. They were modified, essentially like taking the whole of that plane but putting a new engine in it. And eventually they did get their hands on Spitfires. It's just kind of interesting. And they were fighting pretty much everyone in that area, the entire surrounding region was against them. So. Hell, you can even do other. I'm gonna keep mentioning Israeli wars, but like the 6-Day War and stuff like that, the Yom Kippur War.
So
but obviously,
conflicts you can do in all kinds of time frames.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is
without having to default to it's not real or it's World War. Because it is actually what it is now. It's either some futuristic or
it's either it's future
real.
fiction or it's World War II or World War One.
Like, for example, with the original Modern Warfare game, and even Modern Warfare 2 and 3, they told a decent story of completely fictitious, but it was something that, hey, I can at least for like Modern Warfare 1, it's like I can kind of see this playing out today, here and now. That
the whole point was modern warfare.
But
it was how wars were fought today.
Legitimately going that way,
right? And I mean,
all kind of shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean like fiction in the sense that it has to be where Battlefield had people with stories, right? Or like specific events that happen.
He means fiction like, it's Battlefield 2042.
Like, Russia flew up into space and now they're trying to orbital bombard the entire Earth and you gotta fly out there to stop
Are you sure that's not a Cobra plot from G.I. Joe?
I am 100% sure that is a plot from Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I
don't know, it sounds like a Cobra plot.
But, but my point more so, and honestly, I liked, like I said, you guys probably didn't play Cold War. I really liked it because it kind of went back to what Call of Duty was for me. I just don't think Call of Duty fits World War. It's just not the game for it.
At least nowadays, I'd agree. I mean, again, World at War was good, but they're not going to do a World at War anymore. And as much as I'd really jump at any really IDF, war game, they're never going to do it because first off, most of these people either hate Jews or they're never it's never going to be done. Like just being realistic, unfortunately, they're never going to do it. As much as I'd want it, they're never going to do it. And I know, okay, so I guess I'd have to settle for a Korean war game or something, or even assuming we're doing something just from the 20th century.
Minority group, you're asking for too much.
Yeah.
Only approved minority.
What about a? Now I'm just trying to think of conflicts from history that would make good games.
All of them.
Yeah, true. A lot of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
That's conflicts from history that have
Call
guns.
Of Duty game, if anybody cared.
I'm just honestly, it's just we're seeing them running around in circles here. Honestly, it's come on, do something interesting. It's I'm gonna poke them with a stick and go, come on, do something.
I mean, it's literally a circle. It's you go from point A, which is modern warfare, point B, which is World War game, whether it's World War I or World War II, and then they go back to modern, and then they go back to World War, then they go back to modern.
So, I don't know if you guys know much about the development process for Call of Duty games, but actually every single Call of Duty game is on a rotation. So the first year, or I guess
it's Infinity
so
Ward,
Sledgehammer, then Activision, and then Treyarch.
Yeah,
right?
Treyarch,
so
Infinity Ward, and the other. Yeah. It's 3 different people are making each game, which is why you have
it's
modern.
A bad thing.
It's always modern, future, and then World War, modern, future, World War, modern, future.
Yeah, you just get a whole jargle of.
And before people in comment sections and in the live chat, if anyone's in the live chat, start saying, "Oh, but Cold War was based in 1960s, 1980s." Yes, I'm counting that as modern because it is recent.
Mm-hmm. Within the last 50 years.
Right. Whereas all the world wars were over 70 years ago.
Yeah.
Not recent.
Yeah, the other big trend I've noticed with Call of Duty games as of recent is rather than making new maps and
Oh, they just
having
they
to
just
face
update old maps from previous
criticism
games.
for their maps because they're not good anymore. They just rip a map from their old game and
Like,
toss it in, which
how
is
many
good
times has
because I enjoy
Nuketown
it,
been
but-
made a new map?
Oh, Nuketown has been remade too many times.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is, and not to get too much into the whole like, oh, well, Call of Duty, multiplayer bad, but the focus on monetization and multiplayer specifically in these games, because remember, Call of Duty, like almost every other game at the time, was campaign first, multiplayer add-on, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like another mode, but the main game was that campaign.
But now we're seeing.
But now it's the reverse, to the detriment of the game, I
because,
feel.
Hey, if we keep charging for shit, we do this games as a service because we can't actually make anything nowadays.
We'll get into that tomorrow, Cam. Save your breath. Oh, because of Halo news. But moving on, continuing with the Call of Duty stuff. So apparently, in the trailer, they omitted Activision from the trailer, and it was a creative choice, according to.
Okay.
The publisher explains why no logo or mention of Activision is present in the first footage of this year's shooter. Honestly, though, calling this trailer, this glorified cinematic, like, you're gonna tell me this is gameplay? Fuck off. I mean, maybe you might have some in-engine bits.
Absolutely nothing to do with Activision.
Oh my god!
It has zero to do with that. Let's be real, guys.
It's great because like you scroll through the footage here, like, and there's no, there's no Activision logo or anything at all. The only logo they have is the Call of Duty logo.
I am pretty sure that has nothing to do with thematics and almost all to do with Activision Blizzard right now.
Oh, totally. But anyway, Activision themselves claimed it was a creative choice to leave out any branding or reference to themselves from the first trailer for Call of Duty Vanguard, which you guys just saw it on the screen. The video announcing this year's entry in the company's flagship series debuted last week, but for the first segment, led with the messaging Call of Duty Presents, followed by a Sledgehammer Games production. Activision's logo does not even appear at the end of the trailer, an omission that did not go unnoticed by various media outlets, sparking speculation that this was an effort to distance what will undoubtedly be the publisher's biggest seller this year from the ongoing scrutiny around the allegations and lawsuit it faces. Activision addresses this in a statement to Axios' Gaming's Stephen Totilo, whatever, to Axios Gaming, which he shared via Twitter. Call of Duty has continued to expand into an incredible universe of experiences. The company said this was a creative choice that reflects how Vanguard represents the next major installment in the franchise. Last month, the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing filed a lawsuit against Activision and Blizzard, mainly Blizzard, over allegations of discrimination and sexual harassment, which at this point I think it's safe to say that they're pretty much confirmed, as well as violating civil rights and equal pay, among other laws they've broken. The company's initial response over this, criticizing the Department of Fair Employment and Housing for its distorted and inaccurate report. Well, by the way, in that same statement, as we covered a few weeks ago, they said it's distorted and inaccurate, and that was the Blizzard of old. So it's like, so you're contradicting yourself in your own PR statement about it. Nice. But the company's initial response prompted thousands of current and former employees to sign a letter of protest, which last we covered was closing in on over 3,000. I think it's well past that now. And they have since then done a walkout of company's main Blizzard campus in, I think that's what, I want to say Santa Monica?
I honestly have no idea.
I don't know. And then they say you can keep up their full, because Games Industries Up has been doing really good coverage of the stories, as well as Kotaku has been. Kotaku's been on point with it, which is really odd for Kotaku. Like, they're being a good news outlet? What is this heresy you speak of? So yeah, that's the Call of Duty news.
See, you know what's funny about that to me is I am almost 100% certain that if they had just included the Activision thing, nobody would have said anything. It would have just been another Call of Duty trailer.
Yeah. They're making a whole thing about it.
No thing.
I agree. I'm like, I didn't even notice it wasn't in there, honestly.
Again, when companies try to specifically, or at least badly try to obfuscate this kind of stuff, and people notice, and people are like, hey, wait a minute, this is not normal here for what has been done before. What's up?
Yeah, as in, like, I'm saying it's weirder. More people are gonna go, wait a second. Why aren't they why are they doing something way out of the norm?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even notice.
Then they would be like, oh, it's Activision Blizzard.
I didn't even notice that the Activision logo. I didn't even notice the Activision logo wasn't even there. Like, I was just not paying attention.
I get the feeling the majority of the people I guess understood that this was more so to do with Blizzard than it was Activision. Activision Blizzard is a big thing, but it was more so Blizzard as a development studio. So I don't know. Maybe
I think it absolutely has to do with the allegations that they're facing right now. Because remember, Activision owns Blizzard, so
yeah, I guess
you can say they're one and the same.
But I mean more so as in, like, okay, the culture for the people working on the Call of Duty games more likely than not isn't the same as the culture for the people who are working on World of Warcraft and these other games where they
don't know that. I mean, I hope it is.
I wouldn't be willing to say that it is the same.
Norm.
Right? Yeah. So what I'm saying is, it seems out of place that they're doing this with something that has absolutely nothing to do with World of Warcraft or Blizzard, I guess. Sorry, not World of Warcraft, because I feel like it draws more attention to it than anything.
Oh, that's the thing. Yeah, it's again, their attempt to mitigate it is just blowing it out of proportion.
Yeah, the Streisand effect, I believe it's called. Yeah.
But speaking of World of Warcraft and Blizzard, so Activision Blizzard, we do have some news. Activision Blizzard lets go of Diablo 4 and World of Warcraft developers. No reason given for the dismissal, but 3 developers leave because after the lawsuit over toxic workplace. So 3 Activision Blizzard employees have been let go following the lawsuit the company is facing from the Department of Fair Employment and Housing about its alleged toxic workplace culture. And if anyone doesn't remember, pretty much that toxic workplace culture involves, male employees getting drunk and then going on cube crawls where they literally crawl from cubicle to cubicle and inappropriately touching and groping women.
Amongst a whole levy of other.
That's honestly, I hate saying this, but that's one of the lesser things that happened there. So, anyway, continuing with this story, as reported by Kotaku, the Diablo 4 game director Louis Barriga and lead designer Jesse McCree and World of Warcraft designer Jonathan LeCraft. Jesse McCree and LeCraft you might remember from when Cam and I covered the Cosby Suite story. Yeah. Because they were there. But they have all left the company now. The news was announced. Yeah.
Sorry, go for it.
I was going
to say you also might remember McCree from the hip popular game Overwatch. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that character now.
To be fair, I'm sure when people thought of the name McCree, they think of the character and not the person that it was named after.
Hmm. So I'm interested because I know they removed a lot of in-game characters for Alex Afrasiabi.
Afrasiabi, yeah.
Yeah, so they removed in-game characters and stuff for him.
Are they going to do it for Jesse McCree as well?
Yeah, whether or not they change something or...
I mean, look, honestly, they could just change the name and keep the character as it.
And, I wouldn't be upset. I don't think anybody would if they just didn't change the character.
I mean, honestly, I don't have a horse in the race, as they say. I'm not a Overwatch fan or whatever, so whatever.
But it is hilarious though when, like, for example, one thing that comes to mind was way back when with Twitch, there was this one emote they had. I think it was called the PogChamp emote, and it was just some guy making this funny wow.
Oh, they removed that recently, dude.
So
this isn't way back when.
I believe his name is Alec Wutek.
Yeah, literally, no one would have known who this guy was except that they said something political that Twitch did not agree with. Twitch was like, "Well, we're going to remove all aspect of you from everything we can.
It's essentially we're going to erase you from the face of our platform," and they did.
It was only them doing that. If they had never said anything, no one would know who this guy is.
I didn't know who the guy is until the story broke. So yeah. Yeah, we covered the story like whenever it was. I don't even remember when the story broke, but we covered it.
When they made it a big deal, they were the ones who drew all this attention to it. And it's like, if you guys were trying to do something subtle here, you failed miserably.
Well, yeah, and I do think people knew who it was, right? But I think
I'm not saying no one
knew who this guy
no,
was.
I
would say 90% of people wouldn't.
90% of people don't know. But I mean, even past that, I think like the biggest thing is like, just because you have something that has image or okay, it's a bit different with the sexual harassment allegations, because that's something that could cause somebody distress. Yeah, but with something like that, it's like, it's so silly.
Oh, it is. It honestly, and this is just my personal opinion, but from what I've seen, when many people, not everyone, but when many people get higher and higher in positions of power, to the point where, like, hey, I'm a company. What I say goes in the company. My word is law in this realm. People get more and more and more pedantic and childish about it. I mean, when the whole thing, do you know who I am? No one cares who the fuck you are. Be a decent person. But some of these people get so wrapped up around, well, how can they say something I disagree with? How could they? I'm the only one who gets to say how.
Whenever I hear something like that, like when they name a character, like you can name, like it's not new, like people naming characters after themselves. Yeah. But it's just, I always think back to when I first heard a story that my grandfather told me about naming, like if you're naming a company, don't name it after yourself. Because odds are that company will outlive you and might eventually drag your name through the mud.
Yeah, anything that happens with that company is now tied to your name. And not just by association, by quite literally, it's your name.
But let's see, we got, they continue on saying, so they left the company for no reason, like it was announced internally and no reason was given for their departure. Spokesperson for Activision Blizzard later confirmed the news, adding, "We have a deep, talented roster of developers already in place, and new leaders have been assigned where appropriate. We are confident in our ability to continue progress, deliver amazing experiences to our players, and move forward to ensure a safe, productive work environment for all." To which I say, I will believe it when I see and hear it and have proof of it. But until then, I call bullshit.
Well, and like we had said before, and as far as I'm aware, nothing has changed with it.
No.
In that we're seeing with 90% of these newsletters and messages and communications that there is very little acceptance of, hey, this shit happened. Hey, we, as in the leadership collectively, fucked up. Whether just by allowing
there's no sense of ownership,
by promoting it, or not noticing it.
No one's owning up to their mistakes.
Doing it. When you're in a leadership position, that partially falls on you. That is part of your responsibilities to notice what is going on in the company. How are my employees doing in their day-to-day? That's part of your job, to keep an eye on them, and make, not just because, are they spending too much time in the bathroom on their breaks? No, you're supposed to make sure, hey, are they doing good? Are they having problems in work? Are they having problems outside of work? It is your job to make them more efficient and better at what they're doing. That falls on you then. Not completely, not totally, but partially. And I've seen very little acceptance that, hey, we as leaders in the company, we fucked up. We failed our employees. We need to be, at minimum, we need to be better. Not just strive to be better, we need to be better.
Actions speak louder than words, as my dad would always say, and can't be more true here. But McCree and LeCraft both appeared in, as we mentioned earlier, they appeared in the 2013 photo in the hotel room occupied by former World of Warcraft senior creative director Alex Afrasiabi, and the hotel room itself being nicknamed the Cosby Suite. Afrasiabi was dismissed last year over misconduct in his treatment of other employees, with Kotaku publishing an extensive report, which, again, we covered a few weeks ago. Go check that out. Maybe when the stream's over, I'll put like little tags up in the in the corner of the screen, so you can actually click on those. But yeah, essentially they were there. Whether if they were involved or not, I honestly, we covered the story. I don't remember, but it's just a very sordid mess.
They were well, okay, yeah, not involved, but it was.
They did not. They were not innocent. They did say some pretty nasty things in some screenshots that revealed chats between him and Afrasiabi and some.
And whether or not they were directly participating in it, they were knowingly allowing it to happen,
or at least instigators.
Yeah.
Enablers.
Exactly.
Another employee who can be seen in that photo, lead game designer Corey Stockton, has been put on leave, Kotaku reported, with sources adding that he still works at Blizzard. Earlier this week, Activision Blizzard shareholders, CEOs, SOC Investment Group, called on the World of Warcraft publisher to create a more diverse and equitable company, saying that its promises to improve its culture aren't enough. Last week, additional stories of women feeling unsafe to report harassment at Activision Blizzard emerged from multiple outlets, with Blizzard co-founder and former CEO Michael Morhaime reportedly having been informed, alongside other execs, of the rampant misconduct that went on within the company. Like, they knew what was going on and did nothing. Activision Blizzard's Senior Vice President of Global HR, Jesse Meschuk, reportedly left the company last week as well. He was just appointed. He was the replacement guy for HR. And this article, which came out Thursday, August 12th, 2021, is saying that last week he left the company.
So, like, he was the replacement guy.
No. Okay, no. My mistake. He was the guy that was getting replaced. My mistake. I am sorry. I am wrong. At least here. Yeah, he was the guy getting replaced. I was. Why am I blanking? Why am I confusing his name with the other person? The person that's replacing him also had a hard to pronounce. Oh, no, his was easier. No, I don't know. Whatever.
It's a person.
It's a different person. Hopefully a better person. The lawsuit from the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing initially emerged on July 22nd. Actually, I found out about it July 21st. It was filed on July 20th. Anyway, you can read a summary of what happened since on this page, and a link, by the way, to this article, I think, is in the description. If not, I'm going to put it in the chat. But yeah, so there's that, and obviously the investor group that I just mentioned. So Activision Blizzard is being sued by their investors as well, because they were kept in the dark about all this shit. They didn't know what was going on. So
surprise, that's not the good thing to do.
Surprise, in Bizarro World.
It's bad for your business, yeah.
Yeah. Activision Blizzard investors says publishers' promises are inadequate. This is not even talking about the stuff that they were hiding from them. It's talking about just the changes that they're going to do. And as they say, they're here to create a more diverse and equitable company. So SOC Investment Group has said that Activision Blizzard promises are just not enough. As reported by Axios, As reported by Axios, the shareholder has allegedly criticized the actions of the publisher has taken so far in response to the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing lawsuit. So yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so if Blizzard Activision thought that they were just gonna go, hey guys, we're gonna try and do better, we're gonna try and do better, right? And they thought that everybody's gonna be happy with that, then they're a little insane.
What was the name of the investment group? We covered the story a few months before.
SOC? Or are you talking about a different one?
This is a different one. This is SOC.
Okay.
But there was an investment group that was trying to get Bobby Kotick, who's like the most overpaid CEO ever, to get drastically cut his pay. And they lost, but by a very small margin. And that margin was increasing in their favor as the years were going by, indicating that perhaps next year they might win. And Bobby Kotick might see a decrease in pay. Because the dude's getting like multi-million dollars. Actually, he might be getting more.
Oh, more than millions? Yeah, he's 100%.
I'm right now going to... Oh, they really do have an expense. Well done, gamesindustry.biz. Like they're actually updating that page. Last I checked was, yeah, no, he paid more. The number again, it's in that. It was in the episode where we covered the lawsuit because it actually showed the numbers specifically of the year of 2019-2020's pay. And I don't remember what the name of the investment group was. I think maybe it's DTW. Yes. Okay, it was CTW. CTW was the ones that were trying to get Bobby Kotick to take less pay. It's from last year. Wow. But yeah, so pretty much some of the things here. Additionally, blah blah blah. Activision Blizzard should make the following changes. Here are the changes they want. The SOC investor group want Activision Blizzard to change. Increase board diversity and equity by adding a woman director by the end of 2021. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean a positive change. I don't mean to sound sexist or whatever. I'm just saying, like, you have to hire who's right for the job, not...
Well, and I mean just hiring. I mean, I guess we haven't read the rest.
So let's read the rest and see and judge for ourselves then. Increase board diversity and equity by adding a woman director by the end of 2021 and commit to a gender-balanced board by 2025. Activision Blizzard's current board of directors includes 2 women and 8 men. Clawback, quotations there, clawback the bonuses from executives that were found to engage in harassment. Oh, well, I say cut pay and just, liquidate them entirely. Undertake a company-wide equity review similar to the racial equity reviews that Facebook, Airbnb, Starbucks, and BlackRock have completed. So in other words, let's take lessons from other companies and how to be better, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, maybe in practice these things will work. Just, I don't mean to say like, oh, just adding women will solve the problem, because no, like if they're not right for the job or they don't have the...
Yeah, but here's the thing. Even if you did add women, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to change anything.
That's the thing. That's my worry. Is like now you're just giving them. Now they're going to be women on this. They're going to be pressured by their male peers, just like they were in lower positions. Like that, it doesn't change things. It just means now there's more women in authoritative roles. I don't know. I think honestly, you kind of need to start from scratch here.
Well, and my other thing is like, just because somebody's a woman doesn't mean they're not going to allow harassment to happen in the workplace. We
know for a fact that's the case, because one of the, again, in the episode where Cam and I are talking about the Cosby Suite story, we read a email statement from a female PR exec who is defending the company. Like it says company 9 times in that statement, and mentions employees maybe twice or something, and it's all about defending the company and how she's never had any bad experiences with the company, and the company is great, and this is the company, blah blah blah.
Right.
And
I think it's got way more to do with their culture than it has to do with women needing to be hired.
Agreed.
Yeah. But I guess the other thing is it's a board of people who want to make the most money. So
yeah. And also,
make the most money.
My radar kind of starts going, berserk. I start going onto Red Alert when I kind of see diversity and equity, because any other, in any other situation where you see diversity and equity nowadays, it's usually in the same way that Hollywood uses the terms diversity and equity, as a replacement for natural just diversity and individuality and equality. They replace with diversity and equity, and it's that kind of sends me stress levels go a little up,
Mm-hmm.
But
Hey,
I could be wrong here, but that's just the feeling I'm getting. Like, yeah, they're not. They're concerned for their wallets, not for human rights. That's just me personally thinking that with these investors. I don't know these investors. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I'm just
here's
saying
my
that
opinion.
from reading this article, that's what I'm getting. It's like
if Blizzard truly wanted to change, or Activision Blizzard truly wanted to change the culture, they would get rid of anybody and everybody who has participated in this in any capacity, and then they would proceed to do sweeping changes to the way they have managed the company, because obviously the way they were managing it wasn't proper, because there's no way if you have enough people properly managing an HR department, if one person hears about it or two people hear about it, it should be an issue, right?
Yeah.
There's obviously, like I said, a culture there, not just these specific people working.
I swear, the next time I get a hold of, I'm going to talk about how you run an HR department, because he's run an HR department for a company, and if he were at Blizzard, he would be firing almost all these people that these women were reporting about. Like, he'd give he told me about it once. The way it worked was, if you did something wrong, we'd give you a warning. If you did it again, we fired you.
Yeah, well, okay, HR is there to protect the business's interests, as much as people don't like to accept that. So if HR isn't firing people, and obviously you can see they weren't protecting the business. With the state that the business is in,
PR is protecting the business. HR is supposed to be protecting the employees from other employees.
I think that's like an idealized version of what HR is.
I mean,
but
it's honestly, just because HR isn't that, I think it should be that. Honestly,
yeah.
Especially all these stories we hear. And one of the consistencies of all these stories we hear is this is that, but that isn't good. So maybe this shouldn't be that. Maybe this should be this other thing instead. Just because this is that doesn't mean it has to be that. Like, just because,
like I said, I don't think
HBR's just because HR's are to protect the company doesn't mean they should be for protecting the company. Maybe that should change, and HR should be for protecting the employees of the company.
Yeah, and that's why I said I don't think it's enough to just fire a few people and hire a few people. I think there has to be sweeping changes.
Agreed.
Quite a lot of
Again, I think they need to clean house at this point.
Any comments, Cam?
Kentucky Fried Chicken?
No. All right, moving on to...
I just got back. I was gone for like the last 10 minutes.
That's all right.
Okay.
Moving on to some good... I guess it's good.
Is there
Neutral.
such a thing as good news these days?
Okay,
anymore?
neutral news. It's a beige alert. We've got
I do not feel strongly one way
or the other. Tell my wife I said hello.
Hello.
So I guess August has been a really good month for Unity, because Unity has acquired Parsec. For anyone who doesn't know what Parsec is, it is a really fun program. I use it with my friends to play PC games. We use it to play like split screen games. Like, okay, if I'm gonna play on my PlayStation 2 emulator, right, on my PC, obviously I'm playing on my PC. I can't play with other people. But with Parsec, I can, use Parsec to then, and in tandem with PCSX2, which is my PS2 emulator, I can play co-op games with my friends, like split screen games and everything.
Where does one acquire these friends?
So it's almost like
I'm sad. You're not my friend.
I don't know if you guys have ever used. I think it's called Himachi. It's like a tunneling service. It's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I keep saying friend, but I'm gonna be honest. I mean friend. But yeah, pretty much.
The rest of them are frenemies. I just haven't told them yet.
No, the other friend are you guys. So.
What do you mean, you people?
I don't feel strongly one way or the other.
You to assume I'm a guy.
Yeah, I might be feeling like a Pisces shuttle right now.
Are you a transformer, Cam? Do you transform into a Pisces shuttle?
Only on Tuesdays.
Tuesday. That's Torah. Okay. All right, but yeah. So Unity acquired Parsec for $320 million.
Casuals. I can download it for free.
I did download it for free. Founded in 2016, Parsec offers customers a remote desktop tool that uses streaming technology to allow users to work from any location. It's pretty much kind of, as I said, it's like a streaming type platform where you can stream games or use it to essentially, it's almost like a free version of TeamViewer. You guys remember what TeamViewer is?
Mm-hmm. You mean the free program you can use to turn on to?
It's not free anymore.
Wait, TeamViewer is not free?
I have a free version, but I think you need like if you want to get it now, you have to pay for it or something. That's what I heard. I haven't updated mine.
Let me go on the handy dandy Google.
Prove me wrong. No, seriously, prove me wrong. I want to know if I'm wrong here.
Let's see. There's a download button. TeamViewer for Windows. Download. Yeah, it looks like it's still free.
Oh, okay.
Who has been telling lies?
No, I just didn't know. That's why I didn't say anything until now.
Tell me, sweet little lie.
They're not sweet and they aren't little.
Oh, that's disturbing.
Indeed. I blame Canada.
Hear that, Khalil?
blame
Them fighting
Mando.
words there.
I'm gonna blame Mando.
Yeah, blame the Jews. It's always the Jews' fault.
Yeah.
Kidding. This is the latest in a string of acquisitions for Unity, with its most recent purchases including SpeedTree Creator Interactive Data Visualization and 3D Data Optimization Specialist Pixes. Try to pronounce that. Both of which were acquired earlier this year. In the past 2 years, Unity has also picked up 3D content creator Rest AR, a live game platform, Chili Connect, live ops analytics, Delta DNA, voice and text service, Vivox, and cloud application streaming service, Obvious. No, they've been busy.
I believe it's Pixies.
Pixies. Okay. Ah, that makes more sense. Seriously though?
Yeah, not good at all.
I mean, look, if you look at the word analysis, it's not analysis.
It could be.
Or analysis. But anyway. So yeah, so Unity's been having a really good year because their revenue's up $270 million, but losses remain high, unfortunately. Or fortunately, or if you don't like Unity, I guess. I don't know. All I know is that I think Unity, because see the Unity game engine, honestly, it's a good game engine, and it's really greatly overshadowed by Unreal Engine, I think.
I think Unity really shines as a game engine for newer devs. You see a lot of new developed games on Unity. It's good to see Unity's doing good.
I know Unity originally, Installation 01, which was one of the biggest Halo fan games that's been going on for years, was originally being developed on Unity. They've since then moved to a different engine. But
because fuck you, that's why.
Actually, the story there is not horrific. But I recommend you checking out the Chunkier Bean YouTube channel for that, because he's literally the guy that worked on IO1 and is very familiar with the Unity engine. He's ported Halo CE to Unity. So Unity's been doing all right, I guess. We've got EA news, because everyone loves EA. In Bizarro World.
Wait, are you sure we have those news? We didn't have to pay for them?
Yeah, right. 2 cents an hour. So EA will consider player perspective when delisting titles from GOG after GOG misstep. So apparently, Electronic Arts is explaining has offered an explanation as to why 4 of its titles were delisted and then relisted on popular PC game marketplace GOG, Galaxy of Games, in the past few months. GOG served a notice towards the end of June revealing it would soon remove Ultima Underworld and its sequel, Syndicate Plus and Syndicate Wars, from its marketplace. The site said at the time this was on publisher's request. And the decision was met by confusion and frustration from customers, and earlier this month, GOG and EA announced the titles would not only be returned to the marketplace, but also available for free until September 3rd. Speaking to GamesIndustry.biz, EA's Executive Vice President for Marketing, Commercial, and Positive Play, Chris Bruzzo, said the delisting came from a breakdown in the publisher's process for managing the digital titles it has on sale, and has since changed its procedure to avoid similar situations in the future. When making decisions that affect players, we take the time to review exactly... Sorry, I can't read this without laughing because it's kind of just bullshit. Exactly what the potential impacts are and whether they serve the player's best interests. When we delisted Syndicate and Ultima Underworld, we missed that step and so didn't fully consider the player's perspective. From the level of interest players showed in delisting these games, it was clear that people still wanted them to be available, so we did 2 things. The first was to ensure that going forward we have a process in place that considers the player's perspective in listing decisions. The second was to relist the titles and make them available to as many people as possible with a month-long promotion. Which makes... I wonder if this is like a Game Pass type thing. Like, yeah, if you have Game Pass for free, right? If you use a free trial thing, or if you use the $1 for 3 months ultimate trial thing.
I don't know.
You get the game, and you have it downloaded, but because of DRMs, once your Game Pass expires, you don't have the game anymore. You can't access it. I wonder if it's something like that right now with these free titles.
You know, I can
Knowing
say
EA,
they said at least they came out and said, like, you know, that was just a mistake. Whether or not they actually, you know, continue to improve on in the future.
Well, I just think that
like,
the whole...
this is a mistake on our part.
I just think the whole we're looking for from the player's perspective is bullshit. But I can believe that it was a mistake given the it's older titles and the fact that they prioritized their own game platform on PC Origin. So...
Mm-hmm. No, I was just going to say, because usually most companies, especially gaming companies, come out of it with the, that was never supposed to happen. We weren't actually intending to pull that. Sorry, guys. Whereas they were actually like, yeah, look, we shouldn't have done it. We did it. Hey, we're sorry.
For now.
For now.
For now. He added, we saw so much love for these titles more than 20 years after they originally launched. We realized that we had to make them available again, and most probably with DRMs now. I wonder if maybe that's why. Like, it was all... They took them down purposely to add DRMs and then put them back up with DRMs and made them free, and then they have to make you buy it again. Or at least if you don't already own it, because if you own it and have downloaded, they take it down, you still... that happened. Also, EA threatens to ban Battlefield tech test leakers from the final game. So apparently Battlefield 2042 tech testers from a closed tech test are, they want them to stick by the non-disclosure agreements they agree to, and it's threatening to ban them from final product if they don't.
Yeah.
Break the rules, expect to lose access to both the technical playtest, future EA tests, and potentially access to 2042 itself when it releases. EA Studio Europe lead community manager Adam Freeman posted in a Twitter thread about the tech test. The consequences aren't necessarily limited to access to EA game, as Freeman noted that because players are under an NDA, video, screenshots, and streaming from this playtest results in strikes on your channels. So this isn't just your EA related stuff. It's we can fuck your channel, your YouTube channel, or your Twitch channel, or whatever, over as well.
Which anybody who did this, I want to say it, you should not be surprised. You signed a legal document.
EA expects to run an open beta test for the game next month, with the full game launching on October 22nd. call me paranoid, but isn't it a little concerning
Paranoid.
to have have a tech test just months, like not even months, like what, 2 months before your game releases?
Don't ask questions.
Hey, you know what? At least they didn't put it in pre-order beta, which, hey, they probably still will do. But
Yeah.
And you don't know that yet. Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say I should stop myself right there because they're gonna do it either way.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's early access. Here, the beta, aka demo.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm just gonna
No,
disclosure. I'm gonna
it's
say
not a
disclosure real
beta,
quick.
It's a live service. Get it right.
Listen, it's a pre-order bonus. Come on.
Yeah.
It's a bullshit fuck you is what it is. It's a fuck you BS is what it is.
Yeah, bullshit. Fuck you.
It's fu bullshit. Anyway, disclaimer: game develop, like the three of us of all people, and call sign as well, and data of all of us know just how stressful, time-consuming, and just intense game development is. We're not trying to knock on that. We're just pointing out
No.
how, like, it was never.
It's the same mistakes over and over again, and then
Yeah.
some bullshit excuse, but it's the same shit.
It's also,
time
and it's not
again.
like, oh, these are the only games we're seeing this or whatever. Like, no, it's, we see the same type of games that do it right, and then you see this. It's like, okay, so it can be done. Like, it's not just like, oh, these games are now really so difficult to the point where it's, you just can't make them solid, complete products at launch. No, you can. You're just not, because there's more money in not,
Yeah,
apparently.
that's exactly what it is.
And Victor Wolfong in the chat says hello. Hello, Victor.
Almost hello to you too.
Apex. So next up, we got Apex Legends lead game designer fired amid controversy over sexist and racist comments. Yay.
Which we got not surprised.
Yeah, apparently he's, like, some of the comments here are, you know, like here, suggesting double X are the moron chromosomes and that one particular woman should be ignored because it's just her vagina talking. Literally the quote right there. Yeah, I mean, could you have fired this guy faster?
Like, if you want to call someone a dumbass, call him a fucking dumbass. But to just it's because of the attributes of your birth that's making you that. Like, no.
No, if you're gonna insult someone, be creative about it, for God's sake.
Let's do. I mean, for instance, what the frick frack stick snack patty whack give it a boom kind of bullshit you just say about me?
I've been wearing that now. I just love the looks like head when I walk around in it.
Old of you to assume anyone's walking these days.
There's some people walking.
We will.
If they wanted
shake
you to walk, why would they have scooters at Walmart?
scooter, but
Well, there's no Walmart in New York City, so haha. I honestly will never know if that's a loss or a gain on my part, but
It is.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything.
exactly, it's both. Take it or leave it, pretty much. It's up to personal opinion. But yeah, apparently the dude is not a nice guy. No surprise there. But he actually apologizes for it.
So this was in 2007. He said these things.
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, these were back then. Now he's saying, and like he even says, like, they were in their rights to terminate me. So, interesting. This guy actually, I guess, grew, or he's just. I mean, I'd like to hope, think that this was an honest apology, not just like a sake for, I don't know.
Saving grace, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like trying to
Which, I mean,
salvage his
I doubt
reputation,
it,
so to
because-
speak.
Let's be real. He's already fired for it.
Yeah. Well, he can still salvage his reputation, though,
Slightly, maybe.
or at least attempt to. You know what I mean? Like,
reputation?
yeah, I did like own up to it, so to speak, to then gain favor and actually still get a job and not
Because
just be completely.
well, we might actually go and read this article. I get the feeling the vast majority of people will just look, oh, this person did this? Oh, they got fired for that? Oh, they're not going to go read that it was in 2007 unless they're invested in it.
Right. Victor Wolfgang says that's messed up. Victor, are you referring to the story we have in front of us right now, or are you talking about the fact that New York City doesn't have any Walmarts?
Why not both?
Let's see. The ending statement of the story, that was pretty much, he... let's see. Klein and a colleague were fired for violating Riot Games' social media policy. Speaking to Fanbyte, he claimed this was for calling misogynist players men. Which, honestly, based on track records of companies calling people man babies and then calling them misogynists as well, like using them in the same sentence, usually it's just calling regular fans that just don't like their product because it's not good or not fun or whatever, whether it's a game or movie. I know Terminator Dark Fate had that, where the director was calling fans, before the film came out, he was calling fans misogynistic, man, whatever. If they didn't like her his new character.
Yeah, it basically comes down to, I don't want you to criticize the thing I made, and
right.
If you do, I am.
If pretty much, if you don't like what I did, if you don't like what I did, it's because you're insert bigotry here.
You were supposed to buy the game or buy the show.
You were supposed to consume product and give us money and praise us.
Yeah, you were supposed to criticize.
You're supposed to enable our god complexes, not destroy them. Victor says both.
Yeah.
It's okay that we got like a shit ton of targets though.
Targets, eh? We don't.
Yeah, and shoot the targets too.
Mm-hmm.
I say that jokingly, but we've had a lot of shootings, so. Alright, but that wraps up the EA news.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta head out. Sorry.
Alright. Actually, we can kind of end it. I mean, the last thing here is just Riot Games and Sunlock Studio devs form Studio Box Dragon. It's not even. It's a beige alert.
Okay, yeah.
It's pretty much just some ex-devs from Riot Games and Stunlock Studios now form a new studio, and hopefully they make good games.
We'll see.
Box Dragon Studio is going to work on a post-apocalyptic IP, as revealed today by the team's first publishing partner. Today, again, was Thursday, August 19th, so last week. And yeah, so... It's in the publishing partner's Coffee Stain. Coffee Stain will provide the studio support for their first title from pre-development to release. So that's full-time support there for that game.
Hopefully they do good.
The Sweden-based studio was founded in 2020 by ex-Dunlock Studios game director Kevin Cheng and CEO Carlos Bergstrom. The team is rounded out by art director Alex Nikonov, who previously served as senior concept artist at Ryan Games. We are... Code call, sorry.
Yep.
Get a lot of them here.
A very cold call.
It was chilly, my phone was frozen. Yeah, pretty much it's new studio. Hopefully they make some good games. And
yeah, I'm excited to see, because if there's one thing I can say that Riot Games does well, it's their art direction.
Yeah, unfortunately they don't treat their employees well. They're also they're also under investigation for sexual and harassment, as well as just other abuse allegations that aren't necessarily sexual. Victor often says, "I'm actually autistic myself, and I'm friends with a lot of people like me, including my father. I'm always annoyed by autism's pre-trial in media like The Predator, either insulting us or praising us."
Yeah, it seems like there's no
Victor.
no in between. It's either
there's
just normal.
It's like we were talking about yesterday before this. We did our show yesterday, and we were talking about TV shows and how like it's either serialized or it's episodic. There's no in between nowadays. It's either one extreme or the other extreme. There's no
exactly, Victor.
blend. There's
It's not
no
portrayed
nothing.
as just a normal person. It's like they have to be one extreme, right?
Yeah, and Victor makes a good point. Victor says it's dumb because at the end of the day, we're normal people too, and I fully agree with that. Like,
Wait, there's people around here? Oh no.
people, I'm scared.
Well,
Yeah, Victor. First off, I want to say like it takes strength to come out and all that and say that, but at the same time, it shouldn't be a big deal, right? Like I want to say, oh, it takes courage and all that, and yeah, it does. But at the same time, like because of societal norms that make it difficult to, kind of be yourself sometimes. Because of how media portrays some of these things, again, like how Victor said, in the movie The Predator, they have the kid is like a genius or something because he's autistic, and now the predators want him because of that or some bullshit. It's like a really shitty story. And it makes no sense. It's like, yeah, whatever. I think Victor, you said it very well.
He touched on it perfectly.
And on that note, I think we can call it.
Yeah. All right.
Unless you guys want to have anything else.
Nope.
Oh, Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, same time as always, we will be talking about Halo Infinite. And oh boy, is it a doozy.
again, there's no such thing as good news these days.
I mean, there is some good news, but it's largely very small and overshadowed. Let me just say this, Cam, you're going to have a field day with it. Yeah, so anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will probably make timestamps in the comment section, just because I probably should. Given we talked about very different topics in this episode. Usually, the last few weeks we've just been covering like Star Citizen and then one other topic. So yeah, I'll put timestamps in the comment section. And also probably links to. Well, actually, no, the links are in the description for both the sources as well as our merch store, the Teespring store, where you can get a shirt that says, "What the frick, frack, snick, snack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone kind of bullshit is this?" It is a very comfy shirt, and it is guaranteed to make people laugh. Unlike the other shirt, Crotch Shot, which is it has two effects. Actually, three. It can cause people to laugh if they get it, let me put it this way, if they play video games, they're guaranteed to laugh. If they don't, it's gonna weird them out. And if they and some that do play video games are just weirded out anyways. So pretty much either way, you're gonna get a reaction from people, and it's fun. And I had a lot of fun making it.
It was perfect. You can make people who don't play video games, all the weirdos, you can make them avoid you.
Yeah. And come on, who hasn't gone on a crotch shot, spree or something? Like we just shoot people in the crotch all the time in a video. I've done it to players and NPCs alike.
But what about the weirdos who do play video games?
Hell, we have a video on the channel where I literally stick a guy in the crotch with a plasma grenade in Halo 3. It is titled "Fear My Great Big Glowing Blue Balls."
Well then.
Okay, on that note, I think we're done. Yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed and found this informative. If you enjoyed the video, whether you're watching this on the replay or catching this live, I just want to say thank you. I want to thank Lady Mist, Hillam29, Meg Jenny 1, and Victor Wolfong for showing up. You guys are great. And yeah, I hope if you're watching this live or catching this on the replay, I hope you enjoy, find this informative. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it, subscribe if you haven't. If you have, make sure you're still subscribed because YouTube likes to unsubscribe people sometimes. And if you want to support us in a more personal way, we got the merch store, so in the description below. And on that note, we will end it. See ya.
All right, yeah, I'll see you guys then.
Yeah.
Fire in our eyes.